Good morning, United States of America. Good morning, UK, Canada, Mexico, and all the places that are listening to the Charles Van Morgan Show. Got a great show for you today. This is Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News Live. Got a great show for you today. Today we're going to talk about how the government, specifically in Tennessee, other places too, I'm sure, but I know for a fact in Tennessee, I've lived here, seen it with my own eyes, how they rigged elections in Tennessee, and they're rigged with your money. They're rigged with your money. Going to show you names, dates, times, places, evidence. We're going to show you what they do to manipulate you, to get you to vote for the government approved candidates. So you get biased people that don't represent you, that represent the government against you. So it's us against them. Come on in, Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're starting early today. Broadcasting live from Knoxville, Tennessee. We will get some people in here. Charles Van Morgan Show, broadcasting live. Worldwide, unbridled news. Stuff you won't hear anywhere else. We're going to tell you about rigged elections. Thank you. So we got a message here. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Yeah, this is freedom of speech place. So I'm not your grandpa, Mr. J.D. Sabrino, whoever the hell you think you are. I'm a very young man. You have a nice day. Okay, I'll have a nice day. But I'm not a grandpa. So come on in, come on in. Thank you for coming. And thank you for commenting. But, no one likes to be called a grandpa. So, but I am a grandfather. That is true. So thank you. Come on in, like, share, comment if you want. Okay, yeah, okay. So he's a nice man. He's gonna relent. That's right. So thank you all. Charles Van Morgan Show. I'm going to talk to you today about how the government rigs elections, specifically in Tennessee, with name, dates, places, and evidence. So we got it going on. Nowhere else we hear this kind of news. Nowhere else we hear unbridled news that stands up against the government power. Except for Charles Van Morgan Show in the morning. So we got some stuff to show you about how your tax dollars pay for the government chosen people, and they get elected, and then they serve the government at your expense. We're going to show you names, dates, and times, and how your tax money goes to fund this. They even put them yard signs out. If you're a candidate like me, an outsider, we got to buy our own yard signs. We got to put out our own message. We don't have the resources of the government. They're billions and billions of your dollars. It ain't even their dollars. So we're going to show you how they do that, and we're going to show you pictures of them doing that very thing. This is not an illusion. This is not propaganda. This is names, dates, places, and pictures of the government selling a candidate to you that people voted for because they didn't think. So I'm here to ask you to think about things. So Charles Van Morgan in the morning, thank you all for joining. Got a great show for you today. Come on board. So we're going to go over some news that happened Friday with Mr. J.D. Vance. And then we're going to talk about elections and how they rigged them. You think that elections are free and fair in the United States? Well, let me tell you something. Not in Tennessee. In Tennessee, my tax money goes to pay for candidates that they choose, that they build up, that they put down yard signs for. And I'll show you a yard sign for a political candidate that you paid for, a sign. And we're going to go downtown and we're going to put some of our information out. The government puts out propaganda in their government approved channels. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNBC, all the local channels support the lies of the people in government power because they benefit from them. And they tell you who to vote for. They tell the public, they tell Knoxvillians, they tell Tennesseans who to vote for. And they tell you also who not to vote for. So they tell you who to vote for and who not to vote for. Well, so how do they do that? Well, they put out information to people that they want you to vote for, hailing them as heroes and great people and bolstering their credibility, even though they're not very credible, and making them out to be heroes, lining them up like military heroes that have died, similar, putting them beside them like these are great people. When I know for a fact I know these people, and they're not great people. And when they don't want you to vote for somebody like me, then they defame you and discredit you with false information. And they've got government resources to do that. And they use emotion. And we're going to talk about a study, an MRI study that was done that shows what these political candidates in the government, what the government knows about emotion and how they can fool you in political campaigns. And they do all the time. They don't use facts and evidence. They use emotion. So we're gonna talk about that. So hang on the show and we'll tell you about that. First, we're going to update you some real important information to get you to think about what's really going on, about real unbridled news, not government-sponsored sanction. In fact, the government's against me. In fact, the government's put me in jail for telling you this. Do you want to hear what the government put somebody in jail, what they were saying? When they put somebody in jail for not advocating violence, for not advocating any threats against the physical threats against the government, for advocating voting and telling the truth. Do you want to know what the government put me in jail for? Hang on, we're gonna tell you in this dialogue, and we're gonna tell you how the government gets you to vote for the atrocities that are going on in government power, specifically in the state of Tennessee. We're gonna show you pictures, flat out evidence. So we're not gonna go on emotion. We're gonna show you evidence, and we'll put a little emotion in there too, but it's not just blind emotion getting you fired up about nothing. We're going to show you what you really should be fired up about, show you the pictures, date, times, and locations. And also, we're going to talk about how God works in mysterious ways. I mean, you know, when you mess with the Almighty, then you step on some stuff that you better watch out about. And they frame it differently, but I frame it as God's judgment, because that's exactly what I believe it is, because I pray about people that mistreat Tennesseans, that mistreat Americans. And I believe stuff comes to fruition in ways that they call good, but we'll show you dates, times, and locations. So hang on, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's recap. We did a video the other day about J.D. Vance's motorcade here in Tennessee, in Maryville. He was on East Lamar Alexander Highway. His motorcade guarding him. He came to Walland, to Blackberry Farms for a fundraiser, and the news media saying, look, J.D. Vance came to a fundraiser, and surreptitiously trying to point out that, trying to say that's the story, trying to sell that as bad against the White House right now. And I'm saying, look, I'll tell you the real story. Don't look at what they're trying to tell you. I'll tell you the real story, trying to frame it in that narrative that J.D. Vance is coming and speaking before rich people, which he probably was, instead of speaking to the public. And the real story is that that's not even a story. Kamala Harris did that. Went to fundraisers, had a motorcade. They have to have a motorcade. That's not the story. If you listen to the video, I appreciate it. We'll just recap it. And then we'll go on with a dialogue about the mind control of the government, how they deal with things. So a Tennessee state trooper collided with a Maryville motor officer on a motorcycle while they were on the motorcade escorting Vice President J.D. Vance. Now, J.D. Vance wasn't hurt, but they're trying to tell you that's the story. That he was here talking to rich people, which, hey, if you're rich people, I'll talk to you too. Movements need money. Political candidates need money. and they need money to reach the populace. So that's not even a story. Both sides do that. I'll do that. I need money to advance power to you, the people movement, voters of truth enraged. So if you want to, if you can, if you don't, if you can't, if you don't have the money, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you can, advance the movement. Contribute. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with getting money for the safety, help, protection to get out the truth to other people. Nothing wrong with that. The other side's doing it on your tax dollars for free. They're not paying for it. You are. Support a movement that will use your tax money to perpetrate your benefit, because the other people in government power are using your tax money to run their political campaigns. It's exactly what they're doing. And I'll show you how. I'm not just going to try to pull emotion out of you, but your tax dollars, your money comes out of your paycheck that you pay taxes to the state government, is going to fund political candidates that they approve of, going to fund their campaign, going to fund getting their message out. It costs a lot of money to get a message out. That's what I'm doing today. That's what I'm working hard to get a message out. That's half the battle, getting an effective message out. Getting the message out costs a lot of money. They don't even pay for that. They get the message out on your tax dollar. I have to get the message out myself, which we're doing a pretty good job of it, because we've reached over 1,100,000 people, going on 1,102,000 people. Probably by the end of the day, we'll have reached about 1.2 million people. So I'm doing a pretty good job working without government aid, without your tax money, getting the truth out. They're manipulating the system, getting lies out, using your money to perpetrate a lie. And you need to hear this. That's what they put me in jail about, pointing out the truth. And it's the truth. It's not a lie. They lie to you. People in government power lie to you. Is that a controversial statement? Wow, that's the truth. They don't want somebody reaching a lot of people, showing you facts, dates, and times. They want to put a lot of emotional stuff out there that gets people emotional and not thinking, not pointing the blame where it belongs. The blame belongs to them manipulating the system in their favor, not in yours. I'm in your favor. So J.D. Vance was on the motorcade, was being protected by the motorcade, which he has to be protected. Foreign countries love to kill him. If something happens to the president, he's second in command. He's got to call the shots. And that'd be one way to create chaos from a foreign country, is to kill the second in command. So he's got to have a motorcade, and he should have. He should be protected against enemies, foreign and domestic. And there's some domestic enemies. One of our domestic enemies is in the state of Tennessee, that's against the people, is the state of Tennessee people in power in our government right now, that manipulate the system and steal your tax money to get elected. So he was being protected by a motorcade Friday about 8:43 p.m. and two police officers slammed into each other. They hit each other. That's the story, the ineptness of law enforcement in the state of Tennessee. And the story is also that shouldn't happen. If somebody else, a rogue car hit them, hit a police officer, something like that, then that's what they're out there for, to not to get hit, but to make sure that the vice president doesn't get hit. And they hit each other. So not only were they not assisting the vice president in the state of Tennessee, representing the state of Tennessee, they caused a problem where emergency response had to respond to them. So wow, Tennessee, that's the story. Two police officers hit each other that were in a motorcade protecting J.D. Vance. They can't even protect themselves. They ran into each other. That's a story. I've been in motorcades before. It's not that difficult. You have to be about a babbling idiot for something like that to happen. I mean, they tell you, but do you have to say when you're in a motorcade protecting a a president or the vice president, and I protected the vice president when I was at UT back in the early 90s. Do they have to tell you don't run into each other? I mean, wow. And evidently their communications, what we have is a failure to communicate. They weren't communicating with each other. Maryville officer hit a THP officer, or a THP officer hit a Maryville officer. But, you know, one of them got seriously injured and went to UT hospital. So the story is Tennessee law enforcement can't even protect themselves. And I've been saying that. They're dangerous to themselves and others. I've been saying that. So that's just come to fruition. And one of the reasons is they will hang out one of those officers sure as the day is long. Sure as the day is long. People say, well, justice was done. No. That's what they want to say. Look at the ineptness of the officers. And that's what they want you to look at. First, they want you to look at, hey, J.D. Vance was here, and let's focus on that. Getting a lot of money, no. Then they'll say, and I'm pointing to, look at the ineptness of law enforcement in the state of Tennessee. And they'll say, yeah, you're right. Look at one of the officers that messed up, that did wrong. But what I'm telling you is no, look a little bit deeper than that. Look further than that. Those officers that did that, at least one of them that's responsible, shouldn't have been out on the road. Probably, and I will predict, this is a young officer that they've recently hired, hasn't had a lot of time on the department, that shouldn't have been out on the road, because they get rid of a lot of older officers to make the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System solvent. They steal their retirement like they did me. Take it away from me where I don't retire with full benefits, where I don't even have medical insurance now, because the state of Tennessee lied on me. Through emotion facts, they put an incident out and relied on people's emotions. And I'm going to talk about an MRI test where they studied that, about political campaigns and about politics. They politicize law enforcement. I'm not politicizing anything. I am telling you the truth, facts. Charles Van Morgan Show. You won't hear this anywhere else. Unbridled news. Now they're going to make me out to be a liar and some kind of psycho idiot, but I'm not a liar. I'm a truth teller. I've never been convicted of any crime. The people that are calling me liars have. People in the government power have been convicted of crimes involving deceit and dishonesty. So let's look at that facts. But they want to go on emotions. There's somebody dead and Charles Van Morgan did that. No, it didn't. That's not true. Let's go on the facts. Let's look at the facts. That's one way they manipulate you. And they're manipulating you in this story. They've already put out, as a pretext, already threw it out there, trying to lay the foundation that this is probably mechanical error. Nobody's at fault. Nobody's at fault. Two police officers hit each other, nobody's at fault. Mechanical error, something happened to one of the vehicles. I already threw that out there. And they've done that before. Because when Kim Ogle, who's wanting her brother to be promoted, to be voted in sheriff in Sevier County, worked a wreck involving her buddy, Mike Turd, Mike Turley or Turd, I call him Mike Turd, but he had a wreck. He didn't control his car on Chapman Highway. He went after a speeder and went around a corner and went off the road, went up a bank and hurt himself, had to go to the hospital, and he wrecked trying to chase down a car. And Kim Ogle, who has got him promoted, came to the scene, and she was being interviewed. First thing she said in the interview was that we're not sure what happened. It may have been mechanical error. So she's throwing that out for her buddy, that you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't fail to control your vehicle. You can't do your job going after speeders correctly. You went off the road and wrecked your car and should be suspended for that. You could have hit innocent people. Something happened to the car. Nothing happened to the car. It's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. That's what they're trying to tell you. I know that firsthand. I used to work for the Highway Patrol. I have a Master of Arts in sociology with an emphasis in criminology. I know, based on facts and science, people in the government power are running a criminal syndicate. They're criminaloids. Kim Ogle's a criminaloid. She used to change wreck reports and put stuff that wasn't true to point to an an agenda that they wanted to point to. They used to put people in fatal wrecks didn't have the seatbelt on. In wrecks where they did, to try to say, well, everybody needs to wear their seatbelts, when that's not what's killing people. What's killing people is drunk driving. They'd like to say it's not paying attention, being on your cell phone, but that's not what kills people. It's not. It's truly not. It kills some people, and they've been able to get a cell phone bill through the legislature over that. What kills people is people using their cell phones and driving that don't know how to do it. They don't know how to pay attention to the road. You can, I think, and it's illegal, don't do it, but you can use your cell phone and drive down the road safely. It can happen. It can be done. The problem is people that use their cell phone that don't know how to do it safely. It's not a problem, because if it were that serious of a problem and they care about lives, why do they exempt themselves from the same law that they put on you? Because it's not a problem for people that know how to do it. It's not. It's really not. So that, I mean, that's just a fact. But they try to sell that so they can put a law on you. But was one of the troopers using their cell phone legally because they can? While they had a wreck, we don't know. And we will never know what truly happened, probably, because this is the other alarming incident about that. This is what's really important about that. THP is the lead investigator. So they're going to investigate their own wreck, and they're going to tell you the truth, right? Well, they've lied about wrecks in the past. I can tell you how they've lied. I've spelled it out. Look at some of the videos, plain and simple, how they lie in police reports about incidences in wrecks. They lie. So you're going to trust them to tell the world, to tell the world and the United States what happened in that wreck, because a political figure over the United States of America, second in command, was involved in that, and you're going to trust THP to tell you the truth, to tell you America the truth about that? America, THP lies. They lie. I hate to say it, I really do, but you don't get anywhere unless you deal with the problem first. You're not going to move forward into a republic where people are fairly elected that represent Tennesseans unless you point out the truth. And the Highway Patrol does not represent Tennesseans. The Highway Patrol represents the governor who appoints people to positions that don't deserve it. So he was involved in that wreck. A trooper and a Maryville officer. The alarming part that the news don't want you to look at is that THP is doing an investigation. Is that a THP officer and a Maryville officer collided with each other. They can't protect themselves, let alone the public. How are they supposed to protect you if they run into each other? And I'm not speaking as a novice. I'm speaking as someone who has multiple times been in dignitary protection motorcades. I'm speaking from someone who has training from the United States Secret Service in dignitary protection. When I was at the University of Tennessee, I guarded Vice President Al Gore. Was within just a few feet of him. I know I seen him, and big old smile. You know, he's a politician. That's the first thing I noticed about him, how big his smile was. At the Student Center at the University of Tennessee, where I was guarding the Vice President of the United States back then, after I went through dignitary protection that was by the United States Secret Service. So I know how I have guarded a vice president before. So I'm not a novice. I know what I'm talking about. I did not run into another officer there in my patrol car. I mean, that's just basic common sense. And the story is this. THP is getting rid of their older officers, about ready to retire, and hiring these new people that don't know what they're doing, haven't had enough time in the FTO program and training by older officers that tell them how to do things, that have been through and experienced stuff, to protect their retirement system. The Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System would be insolvent, but they get rid of older troopers and don't give them full pay in order to protect the Consolidated Retirement System, because they raped the retirement system by now this is the real story. No news reporters are going to investigate this, but I already know this is what they do. It happened to me. Because if they get rid of you early, fire you, and one of their judges upholds a lie, and they uphold lies, their judges uphold lies all the time. The judges are crooked as hell. You won't get an honest court hearing in a Tennessee courtroom. Maybe a few cases, but the Tennessee courts are dirty. So they know if they lie on you, all they got to do is put something emotional in there to convince the public, because they got the judges in their pocket. Almost 99% of them in their pocket. They'll adjudicate whatever they tell them to. They're lined up behind the governor because the governor promotes judges. So they play musical chairs. They play musical chairs with the promotions. They leave a promotion seat open. They leave a seat open. So a captain's seat, a high-level position, so they can promote a good old boy, somebody that's on their team, to a high-level position at high-level pay. And when they get ready to retire, say they're a sergeant, they promote them all the way to captain, and they work in captain for a few days, maybe just a short period of time, and they retire at that high-level pay. So what that would do is that would bankrupt the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, because they have all these people that are friends of the governor, friends of the brass, that have lied for the brass to get their agenda across, even though it's false, that have committed perjury. I mean, there's captains that have committed perjury and made it all the way to captain. And so they get promoted not for public safety. And this Unbridled News, I'm telling you the truth. It's not a lie, it's the truth. You won't hear this anywhere else. You won't hear NBC saying this. They should do an investigation into this. Why won't they? Because if they do, they'll get sanctioned. They won't get the government privileges like they get. So they get benefits from the government. They get out of their speeding tickets. They get out of their drunkenness. They get out a lot of stuff because the news media gets benefits. They get to live however they want to. Law enforcement doesn't enforce the law on them. That's how they get out of it. That's why they go on the side of law enforcement. That's why you only hear Charles Van Morgan, Independent News, doing a story telling you about how crooked the THP is, and the story behind the wreck, how that ends up with a wreck where a trooper runs into a motor officer the other way around because and I've heard the trooper change lanes into the motor officer's, unverified, into the motor officer's way, so, and it struck him. So I believe that it was probably unverified yet the trooper's fault. So they have people out on the road that aren't qualified, haven't had enough time. These younger troopers, it's not their fault. It's really not their fault. They haven't been trained properly. Now, I was on the FTO program training people, training new troopers, and they took me off the FTO program and gave it to a bunch of younger people. But with time, you can sit down in a classroom and you can read and read and read. You don't know how to do something until you go out and actually perform it several times with somebody like me instructing you how to do it, that's done it before, that's been there, done that, and maybe has made a few minor mistakes, that knows how to avoid that stuff. And you get a bunch of older troopers together and let them train new people how not to run into your fellow trooper, or your fellow officer on the road. That's not high science. So how does that happen? That's alarming. That's the story. It's because they're getting rid of older troopers, and they keep a position open. They keep a position open and promote one of their good old boys to a higher level position. Let's make sure I don't fall to a higher level position with higher level pay so they can retire at captain's pay. And they have so many of their good old boys doing that. They promise them favors for doing that it would bankrupt the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. But it's one of the most stable retirement systems in the nation. How do they do that? Well, it's one of the most crooked retirement systems in the nation, because they're not telling you that they're robbing from older troopers, cutting them off from finishing a few more years so they can get their full benefits, and terminating them early where they don't get all their benefits. They don't get their health benefits. They don't get their full 30 years of service. They fire them in 18, 19 years. And they've done me and other troopers that way. So they can keep the Tennessee Consolidated System solvent, because if they retired older troopers at 30 years and kept promoting people, their good old boys, at this high level pay, in the captain's positions, because they retire so many like that, the system wouldn't be solvent. It can't deal with all the upper level pay from people retiring at captains and majors positions. So in order to keep it solvent, they steal from older troopers that have spent their life. And one of the most heinous things about it is, if you're an older trooper in your 40s or 50s and they get rid of you, and they do it all the time, so that you don't get your retirement, and they cheat you out of the money that was owed to you and give it to their good old boys, that is so destructive, because older people don't have the choices that younger troopers have when they're in their 30s, 20s, or 30s. If you get fired at that age, or if they got rid of you at that age, even if they did you wrong, then you have choices. You can still get a federal job when you're under 37. There's a lot of choices that you don't have because you spent your life out serving society. And this is how these creeps, these crooked people, and that's the story in government power. So it's not the troopers on the ground that did that. They shouldn't have been out there in the first place. It should have been older, more experienced troopers doing that. But they got rid of all of us so that people at the top can sit in an office in a captain's position and retire at captain's pay. In order for the money to be there, they have to steal it from an older trooper who's getting ready to retire to cut off where he won't get his full benefits. So clear as a bell, right? Now that's the story. People out on the road, younger troopers that weren't trained by older people like me, that shouldn't have been out there in the first place. But you won't hear that in the lamestream media. You'll hear nobody's at fault mechanical error, because it's not the troopers on the road's fault. It's the majors and people high up in these offices that are at fault, that have set up a system where it's unwinnable. And then they cover up stuff like that. They cover up their lack of ability to protect the public. So yeah, hello. So that's the story. And so let's not turn our back on people, but so you never know who you'll run into time of night. But that's the real story, is that a THP officer and a Maryville officer collided. Where was the training at? Why were they out doing something that they shouldn't have been doing? If you'd have had older troopers that they get rid of, then you wouldn't have that kind of thing happening. That's the real story that needs to come out. And so I have been through 3, they got rid of me in my 50s. They had to retire early, so and didn't get my full benefits. I've been to 3 law enforcement training academies, successfully graduated. I'm not a novice. I graduated from the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in the 90s. I graduated from the Tennessee Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Training Academy, which is highway patrol, same as a trooper cadet school, a little harder, only it's focus on commercial vehicles. Also has wreck investigations. My first academy, the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, had wreck investigations. And I also went to the Tennessee State Trooper Academy with Colonel Mike Perry. He was in my class. So, and I also went to, and we had traffic crash investigation in that class. I also went to a special several weeks class at the police department out in East Tennessee, several week class, an advanced traffic accident reconstruction class. So I know how to reconstruct crashes, about how you can determine speed from skid marks based on math. And so I went to advanced class in traffic accident reconstruction, and a lot of people failed out of that class. I passed that class. So I know a lot about traffic accident, about traffic wreck crashes, and I know how biased the highway patrol can be. I was also a drug recognition expert. I went to several months class in drug recognition. That is a semi-medical thing where you check people's blood pressure, you look at their eyes, you check their pulse, and you try to determine if, in fact, they are under the influence of drugs, and by their body symptoms, their signs, what type of drugs that they're under the influence of. And you also learn interrogation techniques to find out what type of drugs people are under the influence of. That was several months long. We flew all the way to Arizona to do the field study where we actually tested live suspects, and they tested their blood to see if we were right about what drug they were under. So it was a real intensive drug recognition. I was certified drug recognition expert. So I have an advanced level of knowledge, not to mention a Master of Arts in Criminology in the sociology department. So I have an advanced knowledge. And they got rid of me, got rid of all my knowledge, got rid of my hard work and dedication. I led the state in reducing wrecks and drunk driving, led the state hundreds of arrests every year, lowered the fatality rate. That lowers the fatality rate. And they got rid of an older trooper and took my money away from me and gave it to one of their good old boys. Now that's the story, J.D. Vance. Come to Tennessee at your own risk. Now this is unbridled news. You won't hear this anywhere else. That's the truth. They're discriminating against older people. They're dirty as hell. So yeah, let's see how many people got on here. We'll continue this dialogue. Got names, places, dates, pictures of evidence. Now, we won't go completely on emotion, but you should be emotional and mad as hell about how the state's doing you. They go on emotion, want to sidetrack the facts. Want to say the facts don't matter. Get mad at this person. Get mad at J.D. Vance for coming here to try to collect money for the Trump administration. Kamala Harris did that. Get mad at the THP for putting inept troopers on the road that aren't ready yet. And it's not their fault. It's the administration's fault. Look above that. They don't care. They'll get rid of that officer if it benefits them to hang him out. They don't care about that. They'll just put another idiot in this, another untrained person in their place that shouldn't be out there training them to fail. If it's somebody that has a last name of somebody in government power that's higher up in the echelon, it doesn't matter what he did. They won't get rid of him. He can shoot and kill somebody, and he'll still get promoted, and they'll give him an award for shooting and killing somebody wrongly. So things don't work the way you think they do. If you think that people in government power are honest and will do the right thing and are legitimate and credible, then this is the wrong channel for you, unless you want to open your mind and let me show you pictures, names, and dates and times, and you're open to thinking about things in a logical manner. And you should be emotional and mad as hell about the way Governor Bill Lee is running the Tennessee Highway Patrol, when you can't even have a dignitary at the highest level of the state government come to Tennessee without a wreck involving one of his troopers. Now that's the story, nothing to do with J.D. Vance. He may not come back here because of that. I wouldn't blame him. You have two officers that are supposed to be protecting that slam into each other, become a problem. They teach you day one in emergency driving. Day one, emergency driving. It's not a hard concept. Arrive safely. Arrive safely. Because if you are running emergency equipment and you have a wreck, you're a burden. You're a burden. Instead of helping alleviate a bad situation, you're a burden yourself. You're having emergency equipment have to respond to you. So you've created a problem. So there is no circumstance where you need to be driving in such a manner as to endanger yourself unrealistically, or someone else to where you have a wreck. So you learn that in law enforcement. And when we have somebody in dignitary protection that hasn't learned that lesson yet, then there's a problem not with that officer significantly. There's a problem with the training of the THP, and I just explained to you what that is. So let's see how many people got on here. We'll continue with the dialogue, and we'll tell you how they appoint people that they want you to vote for and how they use your tax money to pay for their political campaigns. They're not even paying for their political campaigns. You're paying for the political campaigns. You're paying for the person they tell you to vote for, and they even build up their character and demoralize opponents like me. Don't have a chance in hell. But maybe we do. We're talking to almost 2 million people, so maybe we'll get the word out. I don't know. What do you think? So we'll continue talking about that. I'll show you pictures, facts, dates, and times on the ground, coming up on the bridge. Thank y'all so much for watching. Charles Van Morgan Show. This is dangerous stuff. You won't hear this anywhere else. Listen to the show. And if you want to, like, share, and comment. If you got something bad to say, go ahead. I'm a little above that. It doesn't deter me. So I don't want to run you off. Keep saying it, because the truth has weight and value. Your lies expose you, and I'm exposing them. That's why they lie on me. So let's see how many people got in here. Hang with us. We'll continue the dialogue. Thank you so much. So yeah, we got 92 people in here. Let's see. Older people have been controlling things for a long time, sending the youth to war. Well, older people had the opportunity to go to war too. So if you're young, then you've never been old. If you're young right now, you haven't been old. So that logic doesn't get it with me. So thank you for contributing. We got some contributors in it. So if you're old, then you've been young, and you were the ones that they sent to war. So maybe you know a little something about how not to send young people to war unjustifiably, right? I mean, come on now. So if you're young, you don't know what it's like to be old. So maybe they sent older people to war so we know a little more than you. I mean, I hate to tell you, but with age comes knowledge and life experiences. And young people are great. I appreciate y'all. I love every young person on here. And you got just as right to run for office as I do, or as anybody does. But I'm trying to tell you, explain to you how you're not going to win unless you're picked by them, and you're picked by them to send other people to war. So if you don't believe in war, maybe you ought to not let the government pick who runs for office and who chooses who goes to war. So yeah, that's what I think. They got that in green there. Thank you for that comment, though. Thank you very much for that comment. And they just gave me, $5. Thank you, Kurtz. I appreciate that. So yeah, you look like a Trumper. I voted for Mr. Trump 3 times. I did. Don't hate me for who I voted for. I like Mr. Trump. I think he could do a better job. I hope that he does. I like Mr. Biden. I did. When he was president, I prayed for him. Mr. Biden did a lot of good things. He sure did. He did. Absolutely did. I'm not on here to lie to people and mislead people and tell people wrong things. So I just lost a bunch of people since I said I like Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden was the president, and I prayed for him. I like Mr. Trump. And both of those were the president of the United States and should be respected for the position that they held, the office of president. Mr. Biden's not the president anymore. So Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're going to tell you some things nobody else will tell you. No other news channel will tell you. Unbridled news. From an educated perspective, I'm Charles Van Morgan. I have a doctor of jurisprudence. I passed the bar twice. I'm not bound by the legal field. I don't have to follow their ethical rules that are ethical rules designed to protect them at your expense. Do you know one of their ethical rules is you can't criticize the judiciary? So you want a lawyer representing you that can't even criticize the judiciary when they make a rogue ruling against you? I don't have to do that. I'm not paid by the legal profession. I don't have to worship judges. I can tell you when they do stuff wrong, and they do stuff wrong all the damn time. So I'm Unbridled News. I have a Master of Arts in Criminology from the University of Tennessee, not a meal delivering online college that sends out degrees to everybody and their brother. I have a degree from the University of Tennessee. in sociology and the emphasis in criminology. So I know about government crimes. I know about what's called criminaloids. And that's what I'm trying to explain, criminaloids. So they're going to sell me, I don't know what I'm talking about. But ask them if they know what they're talking about. Have they ever read a book, been to school, or learned anything, sat down and learned anything? So I'm telling you from an educated perspective. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with an emphasis in Human Resource Management. And from a major university, I have a associate degree in Business Administration. So I'm educated, and one of my best assets is the fact that I am 61 years old. I'm not a kid. I have lived life. I've seen things with my own 4 eyes because I wear glasses to read. And I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it. Now, people in the news and people in government power, you'll see something and say, hey, this is what happened. And then they will tell you that that's not what you saw. You saw this. And they'll keep telling you over and over. And you'll say, maybe I didn't see it the way I saw it. No, you saw it right. They're lying to you. They're asking you to drink the Kool-Aid, like Jim Jones. Jim Jones had a government set up where he repeated stuff all day long on a microphone, preached a message. The government's got a microphone set up. They preach a message of lies to you. They lie. And I'm telling you the truth. And that's what this channel is about. Truth telling, unbridled news. And we're going to show you how the government, people in power in the state of Tennessee, manipulate your mind. And I'll show you from MRI tests that have studied politics, from people that have studied the brain, hooked them up to MRIs about political candidates, and show you how they get you to vote for them, despite facts. They do it by emotion. They bypass the facts and get you emotional about something, get you to ignore the truth and vote for them. Well, I'm here to tell you, we should be emotional because how dirty they're doing us. But listen to the damn facts. Let me show you the facts, and then you can get emotional about stuff, because they'll try to hype you up right off the bat and tell you a bunch of lies, dirty things that ain't even true. Hello? And I won't do that. I'm here to tell you the honest to God truth. And that's what this channel is about. Like, share, comment if you can, donate. We've got some donations on here. Thank you all so very much for contributing to the channel. A lot of getting a message out is hard work. Getting people to spread the message. Tell your friends about this channel. And also getting the money to do it. It takes money, resources. So welcome everybody. Here we go. Thank you all so much. Welcome. Let me tie my shoe. And if you want to, if you like the show, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to go down to the bridge, and we're going to put out the evidence today, and we're also going to spread the message, the truth. We're going to post it on several buildings, and we're going to post it on several buildings. Some flyers. We're going to get the message out. A pretty blatant, honest truth message that is contrary to the government's message, very contrary to the government's message. We're going to call them out for who they are. Thugs and crooks. And we're going to post them all downtown in the city of Knoxville, and get this, we're going to post them all over the state of Tennessee, like we have already done for about the past 5 years. So it's no fluke. We've got about, coming up on today, we'll have 1.2 million people, I hope. So God bless you all. Thank you all so very much. Join the movement. Voters of truth enraged. And after we get in power, we'll be encouraged, because we're going to do some things when we get in power. If we ever get in power, we need resources. One resource is money. If you can send money, that's great. The other resource that's more important than money is people. The most important resource in the whole world. It's not a dollar bill. They don't even make the penny anymore. It's not a dollar bill. That's not the most important resource. A dollar never did anything. The most important resource is you, we, the people. That's the most important resource. We can move mountains. People can do whatever. A dollar can't do that. So you're the most important resource. Without giving a dollar, you're the most important resource. If you give a dollar, it helps us get more people. That's what money does, helps us get more people, helps us get the message out. So if you want to help us get the message out, and you have well, no one has extra money. Some billionaires do. If you're a billionaire and you have extra money, give it to us. Because we're going to try to make sure you pay your fair taxes. If you have some money that you can give, help us spread the message, that's what it'll do. I'm going to show you what we're doing. Or you can spread the message yourself. That's as good as money. As good as money. If you give us resources, we'll travel the state and do this thing, continue doing this thing. This isn't a new movement. We've been doing this 5 years. So it's no fluke. We got 1.2 million people have watched this show. And the message we're giving out is the same we're giving out today. We're talking about how the government manipulates elections. How they manipulate your thoughts and your thinking to get you to vote for their people that continue to manipulate you. They don't want somebody like me in the government, because I won't manipulate the public. I'll tell you the truth about stuff. And when they have somebody like me that's going to tell you the truth, what they do is they try to falsely allege that I'm not credible. So they try to destroy the truth teller by lying about them, by saying they're not credible, and just try to destroy their reputation where nobody will listen to them. When that's not the truth. The facts are I'm very credible. They're not credible. Now they go on emotion, try to get you from looking at the facts. But I'll go on facts until you get emotional about it. What they're doing to people's lives in the state of Tennessee is so very destructive. You know, on the roads we have a 35%, and in the past year it's went up to 45% more fatalities on Tennessee roadways. 45% more people are killed. So not only are those a trooper running into a Maryville officer, more drunk drivers are out running into you innocent citizens, and more people impaired by drugs and alcohol. And I know what I'm talking about. I was a drug recognition expert. They paid for that. Drug recognition expert. You paid for that. And then they took me off the road where I can't even use my drug recognition expert to protect the road. Since they taken me off the roads, they're 45% more dangerous. So not only are the government dangerous to themselves, I said this before that wreck, you're going to see a lot more of that, because the government's dangerous to you. Not only are they dangerous to each other, and you can play some other videos before that ever happened. They're dangerous to each other, and I'll show you some more stuff where they're dangerous to each other. I'll show you some bad wrecks, at least 2 of them, where high-level officers with a THPP have wrecked too. So they're dangerous to themselves, and they're dangerous to you, the public, because of how dirty they are. And they don't tell you why, and I'm here to tell you why. Plain truth from a sociological point of view. Sociology is not an unknown science. It is not something unheard of, and it's not controversial. What I'm saying is not controversial. It's not controversial at all. What they're doing is controversial, because they're playing on your emotions to get you to vote who they want you to vote for. That's controversial. It's manipulation, and they do it to a lot of people. And they also have a proxy of people that they know will manipulate other people. So got a lot of water on the road here. Let me be careful I don't fall down. You know, I've heard older people, and I'm not that old. I've fallen down a lot, and it doesn't hurt me. But older people live a long time, and usually when they fall down, they have a bad fall. They don't heal, and that causes them to die. So older people, God bless you for God giving you the gift of having a lot of years. And please don't fall down. Hello. So we're almost to the bridge. We want to lay out the evidence for you about how people in government power manipulate the electoral system in black and white pictures. So hang on with us. Thank you all for being here. If you like the show, like, share, comment. If you don't like the show, comment. And also subscribe. And if you can, contribute. And we're going to talk about elections, about the dirty elections in the state of Tennessee. We already recapped the wreck. If you missed that after you listened to the live broadcast, go back and listen to it. Also made a video Saturday morning after the wreck at the UT Hospital live on the scene. And we're going to go live on the scene, hopefully, if we get enough money, all over the state to tell you the unbridled truth about what's going on and keep the citizenry informed. You know, George Washington said that one of the founding fathers, and when we get to the bridge, I'll tell you about our democracy. People that founded the United States of America told a lot of stuff back in the 1700s that's still viable to this day, setting up the United States of America, our form of government that is being trampled on to this day. So thank y'all for being here. We'll get across the bridge here. And hello. I'm broadcasting live on YouTube, so I got 1.2 million people in the past 2 months. So got a crowd. I'm saying stuff against people in the government, so evidently that's pretty popular. But I got pictures, dates, and times. You trust people in government power? You're not going to say that, are you? I don't blame you. You don't want to be retaliated. I'm not showing you on camera.
No, I'm not so much, have so much knowledge about
You
that.
like a professor at UT.
No, I just work at the hotel.
You work at the hotel, okay.
So I don't know much about that. So
Okay. Well, I'm not putting you on camera. I'm not going to violate your privacy. So you too. At least I got a big smile from a pretty lady anyway. I'll put you on camera if you want me to. Let me put you on camera. There you go. Well, you're waving it. There you go. So yeah, it's a hard working Tennessean. We're almost to the bridge. We'll lay out the evidence. Thank y'all for joining me. Charles Van Morgan Show, live, unbridled, up close and personal, telling you the truth about stuff. Going to show you some pictures about election interference, about election engineering by the Tennessee government. They're proud of it. They got a gun if you don't like it. Yeah, you heard me loud and clear. They got a gun. You don't like it, they got a gun. And that's what power is. The ability to control people. The ability to control people without their will. With them disagreeing with you. And that's fine if you got a government that represents the people. But in Tennessee, you don't have a government that represents the people. You have a government that represents the elite few. You have a government that picks who they want to win elective office and puts out signs that you pay for them, hailing them as heroes. I'll show you pictures, dates and times, and I don't care. It really doesn't matter if a lot of people are for this person. That doesn't mean that they have a right to my tax money all over the state, putting them alongside military heroes that died in wars. It doesn't mean that at all. That doesn't mean they have a right to lie to the populace, to put out in the major media lies that build them up when they're dirty, nasty, stinky people. And that's who they build up. Our political parties could go down here under the bridge and get a drug dealer and a drug addict and build him up, prop him up, put road signs out for him, spend your tax money on him, and put them in our legislature or put them in the governor's office. Either party could do that, I believe. They can get any scumbag. And excuse me, or don't excuse me, that's what they do. That's what you got in our Tennessee offices. Scumbags, thieves. So you won't hear that anywhere else. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. And I'm about to show you some pictures. Verifiable evidence. You can drive by and see it yourself. If you don't believe it, you go by and see it. Look at it. And then look at the position these people are in after they've been built up by the public. And I know these people personally. I've met them. I know how dirty they are. I know what liars they are. I can tell you some of the lies they told. I can tell you how they got in the position that they're in because they bought their position in government power instead of earning it. So we're going to show you that when we get to the other side of the bridge. Let's show you the view here. God bless you all, I pray. It is a great day to be alive. Charles Van Morgan Show. Come on in. We're going to deliver some truth that the government don't want you to hear. You're going to hear it. So here we go. Here's the view. Knoxville, Tennessee. Here's the bridge. So yeah. So welcome to the Charles Van Morgan Show. We covered the wreck that happened between two police officers, J.D. Vance, motorcade. Two Tennessee police officers slammed into each other. Wow, that's real interesting, isn't it? How does that happen? That happens, as I explained, ineptness at the top, putting people out on the road that shouldn't be out on the road, not training them appropriately, taking older officers, discriminating, taking older officers off the road so that they can promote their good old boys to keep the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System solid. Where's the news channels at? Where's the investigative reporters at for the news channels reporting that? Won't they look into that? Don't worry about it. I will. I just did. I was forced out wrongly because of state government crimes, because of lying judges. And then when I went to get my law license, they wanted me to, hold my law license over me, to lie to them and say that the state judges were right in what they adjudicated. They expected me to kiss the ring and bow under a falsehood. So they wanted me to perjure myself to go along with Tennessee judges. But I didn't do it. I didn't perjure myself. I said, obviously I don't agree with the judges, and I didn't agree with them. So they stuck something on me that was false, and they'll stick stuff on you that's false because what they said was false. I was under oath. I had to tell the truth that I didn't agree with the judges. They got it wrong, and they knew they got it wrong. They got it wrong to back up the governor because he wants to get rid of older troopers to fund his buddies getting captain's positions, because the captains get a high salary when they retire, and he's got so many buddies, so many favors that he's had to pay to get in office, that if he kept everybody and paid the captains their pay, then the Tennessee State Consolidated Retirement System would be insolvent. So that wreck happened. The news media saying, look, J.D. Vance had a campaign, a financial campaign trying to get money at a fundraising event. No, look. There's some fans. Look. THP and a officer slammed into each other. Negligence, or at least malfeasance, by supposedly best trained officers in the state because of the lack of leadership, because of robbing older officers, and they're not out on the road anymore, and bad stuff like that's going to happen. Look at that. Look how they do the retirement system. I'm not the only one that did that to. They did that to Marty Nix. They've done that to Paul Story, they do that to a lot of troopers, lying about stuff. The only problem they have is getting it legitimized through the public sentiment. They don't have to worry about courts. They can go to here to any judge and say, we want this guy fired. This is what we're saying. The judge will stamp what they say on their legal papers, write it out, make it look legitimate. What they have to worry about is the public getting it through you, because it's such a twist and a spin what they're trying to get through that they get a judge and that part of the legitimizing. Well, the judge said it was okay. Well, the judge lied for them. The dirty judge liar. And that's Tennessee judges are dirty liars. They'll sign whatever Bill Lee tells them to sign. The thing is, they have to get it by you, because if it's such a far-stretched story, it's hard for them to get it through the public. And that delegitimizes them, makes it harder for them to lie to you and get by with what they're doing, which is what I'm here for. Hello, Charles Van Morgan, introducing myself. I'm here to tell you the truth. Are they legitimate? Or are they lying to you? Well, hello, they're lying. I'm like the ice cream man. Hello, they're lying. They got Kool-Aid they're asking you to drink. They're lying to you. They're propping up a government full of thieves and crooks for them against you. Is it working for you? How you like buying a loaf of bread and some milk right now? Part of that tax money goes to funding their campaigns, so they can line up people in office that rule against you, put laws on you, and exempt them from it. And they'll keep on doing that, using emotion to do that. We're going to explain to you about an MRI test. They showed exactly how they do it. And we're also on the show, hopefully, we're going to go pass out some flyers, put them up in public forums to get our message out against the government. It's supposed to be allowed to do that, aren't we? America, First Amendment. Only thing I'm bound by is defamation laws. I got a law degree, doctor of jurisprudence. I know defamation. What I'm saying is not defamation. Truth is a complete defense. It's the truth. The only time truth wouldn't be a defense is if it's a tort called invasion of privacy, where if you report something about somebody that the public has no right to know, like if they wear the pins, the public don't have the right to know that. So you can't report that. So I know the law. I know the law from memory. I studied for years to defend you. But they won't let me practice law because they lie. So thank y'all so very much for the support. So we're going to put out a few flyers today. We got started a little early so we can get our message out a little better and get the truth out to more people all over the world. You know what matters to the government is people out spreading the truth about what they're doing to you, getting the word out with facts and evidence, because they try to go on emotion. So that's the objective of this channel, Charles Van Morgan. It's dangerous business, but I'm well trained. I was in law enforcement all my life. I know the risk, and I've decided that I'm in the circumstance that I can't go downhill because of the lies they've told about me. So the best I can do is go up. Not everybody's in that position because the government hasn't probably defamed you. The government has falsely defamed me, so I'm in a good position. I'm a fighter anyway, fought all my life. I'm the son of a widow, the only son of a widow from South Knoxville. I was actually born on Lookout Mountain. My mother lived on Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. She took me across the Tennessee line to John L. Worrell Hutchinson Hospital to be born, but she lived on Lookout Mountain. You know, it's kind of prophetic that Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Let freedom ring." And he mentioned one of the mountains that he mentioned from Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. Well, that's actually where I'm from, Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, and I'm letting freedom ring, and the government's trying to keep you in bondage by lying about elections. So So we're going to talk to you about the elections. Now, Benjamin Franklin, Elizabeth Powell asked him about what kind of government we have. Benjamin Franklin was asked, as he departed the Constitutional Convention, if the framers had created a monarchy or a republic. And this is what Benjamin Franklin said as he left the Constitutional Convention: a republic if you can keep it. A republic if you can keep it, in 1787, the same year that the Constitution was signed. So Benjamin Franklin, a founder of the United States of America, our way of government, one of his concerns was freedom. The republic voted by the people, a government voted by the people, if you can keep it, meaning that you might not be able to. It's something that is hard to keep. Freedom is hard to keep. And one of the reasons it's hard to keep is because people in power use their power to lie to you. And they lie all the damn time. So, that's what Benjamin Franklin said: a republic if we can keep it. So, for our nation to continue to thrive today, citizens and statesmen must constantly renew their civic literacy about America. Now that's what Thomas Jefferson said, one of the founders of America. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. He said that in 1816. So if people expect to be ignorant and free, and I'm going to educate you. You're not going to be ignorant after I get done, hopefully. And people can educate me too. I'm not God, but I know a lot. If you expect to be ignorant, don't want to pay attention to the government, don't want to pay attention to what's going on, and free at the same time, it never has been or never will be, according to one of the founders of the Constitution, which gave us rights against the government. If you want to ignore what's going on in the government, then you're not going to be free. So you better pay attention. You better wake up. People better wake up. They're taking our rights away from us. We're losing our republic in the state of Tennessee. We're losing it. It's on the brink. We better start acting fast. That's why we have voters of Tennessee enraged. And I'll tell you why you should be enraged. I'm not just going to tell you to get emotional. I'm going to tell you exactly the reasons why you should be emotional and why you should be enraged. I'm going to give you facts, and then the facts we're going to make you be emotional. For one thing, they're getting rid of their age discrimination against older people. And they're lying to you, propping up their candidates, and nobody like me would ever have a chance to get in. Maybe we do if you will educate yourself and quit voting for people that represent them. So enjoy the view. I hope you can see. Thank y'all for joining me. So we're going to educate you a little bit today, and maybe y'all can educate me some too. But I'm going to tell you some stuff I know from facts, seen it with my own 4 eyes. So thank y'all so very much. We're here on the bridge in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to pass out some flyers, and we got some contributions. Thank y'all so very much for giving. If you can give, if you can't, that's fine. Spread the message. The most important resource is not a dollar, it's people. You're way more important than money. Don't even compare, ain't even in the same category. So we appreciate you being here. If you contribute, it helps to spread the message. So we don't need to be ignorant about things. Our founding fathers told us that. Benjamin Franklin said, as he departed the Constitutional Convention, if the framers had created a monarchy or a republic if we can keep it, 1787, Benjamin Franklin, when Elizabeth Powell asked him. Thomas Jefferson, an American founding father and 3rd president, primary author of the Declaration of Independence, primary author that gave us our rights, gave us freedom in doctrine in the Constitution, July 4, 1776. He said it was an inalienable rights. Means the government can't take it away from you. It's given to us by God. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we don't need the consent of government for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The government's supposed to make it an environment for us to have those rights, not keep us from having those rights, which is what they do now, I believe. What do you think? So people have a right to change or abolish an abusive government. Our founding fathers in the Constitution gave us that right and said, if the government doesn't give us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then we have a right to abolish the government. It's our government. We can do whatever we want with it. If they don't serve us, if people at the top start abusing us, we can do whatever we want. I'm asking us to do it at the voting booths. Government answers to the people, not the other way around. Not the other way around. They answer to us. Right now, they're not answering to us. They don't care what you say. They got a gun. They don't give a damn what you say. They will enforce their will on you by their proxy and by their lying elections. So Jefferson listed 27 grievances in the Declaration of Independence. Voting, violating due process. That's their courts. You go in the courts, there's no due process in the Tennessee courtroom. It's a bunch of lies. It's a joke on you. They're laughing at you all the way to the bank. Because they make money off guilty verdicts. The sheriff makes money. The judges make money. Due process, I've seen it violated. Obstructing justice. They obstruct justice every day. Keeping standing armies in peacetime. Imposing tax without consent. Destroying local legislatures, refusing to listen to petitions. So they don't listen to us. They don't listen to Tennesseans. They don't listen to voters. They don't listen to millions of people across the state of Tennessee. And millions of people across the state of Tennessee don't vote, so we need to start voting. So here's some of my supporters in Cleveland, Tennessee. So thank y'all very much. Wearing my t-shirts. So we appreciate our supporters. That's when I ran for governor. So shout out to them. And the government's got a grudge against me. And straighten out your wrong, people in government power. Now they like to flip it and say I have a grudge against them. I don't have a grudge against them. That's a lie. That's a dirty lie. They're flipping it. They did something wrong to me. People in government power did something wrong to me. They did something wrong to me. As far as early as March of this year, when they turned me down the second time for law license, I don't have a grudge against them. I'm fighting for Tennesseans. I'm fighting for you. They have a grudge against me and won't let me practice law to represent you in their courtrooms to protect your constitutional rights. I don't have a grudge against them. They got a grudge against me. They're the ones that are dirty liars, not me. So I asked them to correct your lies. This is your warning. This is not a request for y'all to correct your lies. Please correct your lies, I beg you. Please stop your grudge. This is not a begging to do that. This is your warning. End your grudge. Correct your wrong. Or you'll have hell to pay in a good way. We're going to vote. Tennesseans going to vote. We're going to put out the truth to millions of people. We're not going anywhere. So this is your warning. Drop your grudge. Correct the record. If you want to buy my book, it's Charles Van Morgan's story, the former trooper, in an effort to Protect lives. That's not a grudge. Protect lives. I'm protecting you from them. They're dirty government people. And correct the record. So if they want to do that, that's fine. They won't do it. So that was their warning. I got that out of the way. I hate to do what I'm going to do. That's going to be effective, hopefully, without giving them a chance to do it on their own. And no violence. I don't believe in violence. So we got supporters all over the state. I went all over the state. And lost the election bad, but that doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. We got the word out. It's about getting the word out. It's about getting a yard or two. You don't have to score a touchdown every time. There's no way we're going to be able to score a touchdown with the defamation that they got going on. We went all over the state. Let me show you the counties that we went to. This is, I fully endorse and going to vote. This was in 2022. I asked all my family and friends in Tennessee to do the same. My name's City. We went to all counties and may go again. Scott County, Davison County, Cheatham, Tipton County, all the way in far west Tennessee, or far northwest Tennessee. So we've been everywhere in the state of Tennessee. And may go again. We're hoping to go put out news. Look at all these counties we went to, all these names and signatures we got. People, so we got a few feet. We didn't score a touchdown. We may score a touchdown the next time. We're still on it. We're not giving up. People don't understand. You got to stay in the game. You got to keep trying. The game's not over. Heart's still beating. We're right. God still loves us. God still loves you. We're on these judges. Look at these dirty judges. These judges adjudicated. Well, I was out knocking on doors. Tipton County, all these counties across Tennessee. Tennessee judges subpoenaed me to go to court, took me off the campaign trail. You can't knock on doors and tell people that the government's not serving you. You can't talk bad about us that's truthful. You can't do that. We won't let you. I'm supposed to. We have a republic if we can keep it. They're trying to stop us from a republic, trying to let us not keep it. I got a right under the First Amendment to knock on any damn door in the United States of America in Tennessee that's not marked no trespassing or private property to hand out political material. They do. I got a right to do that. They're trying to make it illegal in the state of Tennessee to do that right now because of what I'm doing, trying to pass laws against your right to know the truth about them. Your right to know the bad about them. They only want, if I went knocking on doors saying, oh, Governor Lee's a great Christian man, a fine man, and everything he does is great. Amen. I'm voting for him. Praise Governor Bill Lee. Governor Bill Lee, if I did that, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't pass no laws against me. They'd let me do that. But if I go telling you the truth about Governor Bill Lee, that he advertised in a church to try to say I'm an honest man, bringing religion into something that Jesus kicked people out of the temple, trying to get power. Power synonymous with money. That's the reason why Jesus kicked people out of the temple. One of the few times Jesus got angry and righteously kick people out of God's house. That's what Bill Lee's trying to act like he's an honest person, using religion to win an election, promoting people that spread lies and make the state more dangerous, promoting somebody to major that's still in valor when he knew it ahead of time, making the roads more dangerous, allowing them to rape the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System with votes for dollars for promotions. So these Tennessee judges took me off the campaign and forced me into court to listen to another road liar in Tennessee. So we're going to put this up at the courthouse. It says Tennessee judges. We put this all over the state. I know they don't like it because they mention it in a ruling against Tennessee Judge Davis, Ferguson, and McBriar cover up courtroom criminal acts by their buddy Judge McMillan violating the Constitution, interfering with the people's campaign for governor. So that's what this judge here did, this judge and the woman down here. Interesting how the governor's Tennessee courts have no disagreeing opinions. All are now always unanimous in their attempts to defame me and Tennessee citizens that rightfully speak out against people in government that are ruling state government for the people, that are running state government for. So they always rule. They had a unanimous decision against me. A unanimous decision against me. Wow, I've been a unanimous decision every damn time against citizens. Unanimously rule for the governor. Wow, isn't that interesting? No dissenting opinions. That sounds a little hokey, don't it? It is hokey. It's wrong. It's illegitimate. A republic, but we ain't keeping it right now. We need to have an informed electorate. That's what I'm doing. I'm informing you. These people are wicked as hell. Don't vote for them. They're crooked. They're liars. They're cheats. They're robbing. They're trying to take control of the government for their own benefit, not yours. They don't care about you. They could care less. They just starved out half of Tennesseans and little children. Could have released the emergency fund. Why didn't they do that? Because they don't care. That emergency fund that the governor's got is for him and billionaire has-been, so they don't have to use their money when an emergency happens. That emergency fund is for the rich elite people. It ain't for you. Children are going hungry and they wouldn't release the emergency fund. Wow. And he's a Christian man. So we need money to get this message out against the government, to let you know, to try to keep our republic, to try to do what Thomas Jefferson, what they said about having an informed electorate. That if you think that freedom and ignorance go together, it doesn't. So we're trying to educate people. So help us get this knowledge, information out about the government so we can educate people about how dirty Tennessee is. Now, we already have been spending money, a lot of it. We put out an ad in the Tennessee Gazette, Trenton Gazette, in 2022. We put out an ad in the newspaper advertising our campaign against the government. And here's the ad that came out in the Trenton Gazette right here. This ad, so money to advertise, fund the movement. We put out this ad in the Trenton Gazette. It was in the newspaper, had me with a Vietnam soldier, weekly meetings with Tennesseans, blame the state, not the soldiers, endorsed by Vietnam veteran Larry Bledsoe. Please call all your friends. Friends calling friends beats bought elections. And only son raised with learn how to fight, and only son raised with his sisters by a mother widow from before he was 2. I learned how to fight, and I'll fight for you. Health care and giving your government back. Now we put this was 2022 campaign. We put this in the Trenton Gazette, and we need money to put more ads out. The government has money. We're going to show you how the government uses your tax money, uses your money to get a message out. It ain't, we spend our money and they spend your money. And here is a sign right here. Right here, look at this sign right here. You paid for this. So that's my campaign sign. Now that's when I ran 2022. Look at this, Lowell Russell Highway. That's your tax money paid for his sign. I paid for that. You paid for that. They lifted him up like a hero. Wow. That is a bunch of bull malarkey. That's because arguing with each other is hell of a lot more interesting. Listen to this Okay, yeah, thank you for your dirty, foul language, you idiot. And you can argue with her if you want to. I'm showing you facts and the truth. THP Sergeant Larry Russell Highway. Look at my sign down here. I paid for that. You paid for that. That's like a military hero. Put him up as a hero on the side of the road. Isn't that interesting? So your tax money held him as a hero on the side of 411. Interestingly, that's the same road where a trooper killed somebody by negligence, and they gave him an award, life-saving award. So it's hard to win elections when we have to pay for our own signs, and we have to pay for their signs too, because our tax money paid for that sign, and that sign says he's a hero. He's not a hero. People that died in military and wars, like Patrick Fitzgibbon, are heroes. But Patrick Fitzgibbon's got a bridge on Rutledge Pike where he's got his name. He died in Afghanistan on patrol in the military. Sergeant Russell's not a hero. He's still alive. They put that sign up for him because he's on their team, and they want you to vote for him. So they lift up his career, lift up his legitimacy, and say he's a legitimate person. He's a good person. Vote for him. He's like a dead soldier. No, he's not. They try to make him legitimate. No, he's not. He's not even an honest person. Not in the least. So they try to, that you paid for that sign. And he won the legislator's office. And he rules for the government. And kicked you out of the legislature. And people automatically think there's little Russell on a sign, a yard sign, paid by you, held him a hero. Government sanctioned hero. He's not a hero. I know Little Russell. He's not a hero. Not a good person. Has a grudge against me. So he needs to correct his wrong. This is his warning. So if you're on an automatic pilot, you'll think, yeah, I know, we'll go in and vote for him. But listen to the truth. It's a hard truth, and I don't care. You know, people don't believe me, and maybe that's what you want. I'm still going to tell you it's a dirty lie. I've got people in my brothers, my dad's brothers that are for him. You know, it didn't go right on, and they also abused me when I was a kid. So you know, go ahead. But automatic thinking that is non-conscious, unintentional, involuntary, and effortless. So if you see his picture on the side of the road, you think he's a hero. They got him up as a hero. You see his name on the ballot, you mark it. He ran for public office in that same city. He's got 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 hours a day, free yard signs up. He's going to win any election. Of course he will. The government says he's good, vote for him. Automatic thinking. I know the man. I know him. I've met him. Used to work for him. He's not a good man. He could care less about anybody but himself. The only reason why he got on the highway patrol as a sergeant is because somebody paid $5,000 for him to be put on the promotion list. That's the truth. Put that under that sign. Paid $5,000 to even be put on, promoted over people deserving. Paid to the political campaigns. It's all, you know, it's about politics, and that's why you have troopers and cars crashing into each other. These people don't know what the hell they're doing. It's not based on ability. Like me, I had to work under that idiot. I have a Master of Arts in criminology. I was a drug recognition expert. He got rid of me, and the fatality rate skyrocketed. He's not good for Tennessee. He's not good for himself. I'll show you that here in just a minute. Automatic thinking. It's what they want you to do, be on automatic pilot, be ignorant, and then they'll take your democracy. They'll take your republic. Automatic thinking. They want you to be ignorant. If you think ignorance and freedom go together, it's like one of our founding fathers said, never has been, never will be. You better get educated. I'm here. I'm educating you. Some hard truths, some hard facts. I'm going against people in government power that could damage me. You know, this might be the last opportunity to get to hear this stuff. Might not be another Charles Van Morgan. I'm here to tell you, let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. I'm letting freedom ring. Vote these people out. I'm not violent. I'm not asking you to go hurt Lowell Russell. He's stupid enough. He'll hurt himself. He'll take care of that himself. He ain't got to hurt him. He'll do it himself. It's been a while since he had his last major wreck, and I'm just saying that's the truth. And I don't want him to have a wreck. I don't want him to hurt himself. I want him to resign, and I want you to know the truth about him. So controlled thinking. Controlled thinking is thinking that is conscious, intentional, voluntary, and effortful. So I want you to consciously think. Counterfactual thinking. Mentally challenging some aspect of the past as a way of imagining what might have been. Counterfactual thinking. So I'm asking you to control think. Think about things. Don't just automatic pilot what the government tells you. Yeah, this is the way it is. Think about what they're trying to tell you. Think about the lies they're telling you, and if they match up with reality. And then counterfactual think. Think of the other way that it could be. Don't just take their word for people in government power. They're lying to you. They go on emotion, try to trick you. And I'm going on facts, telling you the way things are. That's the way they do in politics. A trial, what I learned in law school, a trial is a story. It's not a wrangling over facts. Facts matter, but a trial is a story. It's not a wrangling over facts. And the strongest story wins. The strongest story. That's what they know. They try to get you emotionally, and that overrule the facts. The strongest story wins. I'm telling you the facts, and you can get emotional about the facts. They lie. They're dirty people. And telling you a story about what they do, about how they do it. They manipulate you with propaganda, get you emotional, get you on auto thinking, where you don't think about things, and cause you to do what they want to do. And that's what they did with me. Try to make you emotional and not look at the facts. And they know they can get anything to a Tennessee courtroom. That's not the problem. A judge will stamp anything the governor tells them to stamp. They own the courtrooms. The courtrooms belong to them. If you don't get anything else about that fact, get this. The governor of Tennessee owns the courtrooms. They're not constitutional courtrooms. They're owned by former Governor Bill Lee, and former governor, and now the present Governor Lee. That's who owns the court. He tells the judges what to say and what not to say, what to adjudicate and what not to adjudicate. They are not constitutional courts, meaning they do not protect your constitutional rights. They protect the rights of the governor and the people and his entourage. That's who they protect. That's the truth. That's not they're a facade. Now what they did to me is try to get you to go on emotion. They said Charles Van Morgan seen a wreck off the side of the road, let somebody burn to death. That's what they said, trying to emotion. They didn't. Now don't talk about the facts. Don't talk about the facts. Emotion. Somebody died and we're blaming him. But the colonel said that he came down to the scene because of the seriousness of the incident. It's serious. Emotion. They left out all the facts. What are all the facts? They got you to go on emotion because they want to get rid of me because it was a hit job. It wasn't nothing about the facts. And I'm telling you the story. The story is I made legitimate complaints through the Department of Safety procedure about Lion Lowell Russell and how the Department of Safety was discriminating against older people, including me, and making it more dangerous for citizens in the state of Tennessee, like that wreck that happened in guarding the vice president. That's the result of the things that they do when they discriminate against older people that know what they're doing and don't train people properly, don't have older people to train them because they fire us for money, for mammon. So that's the story. That's one of the main reasons. You don't have to have motive to know somebody did something wrong. Somebody can be convicted of murder without knowing the motive why they killed him. If you can prove they killed him, motive helps. And there are other motives. Motives helps. But you don't even have to have motive. But that's one of the motives. They relied on emotion. Now, if you think about it, if it's your job to arrest drunk and drug drivers, if that's your job to arrest drunk and drug drivers, then you're going to be in and around drunk and drug drivers. And drunk and drug drivers crash. If you're not there, they crash. If you're doing your job and you're looking for them, you're going to be in and around where they crash. There's nothing you can do about it. You can save a few, but you can't save them all. To blame a trooper for being in pursuit of somebody so drunk, almost 3 times the legal limit in marijuana in their system, that refuses to stop, to blame the trooper for confronting that wrong when it's their job to do that, is pretty sick. It's pretty sick conduct by the government to do that. And that's what they did to me. Somebody died, blame the trooper. The trooper didn't do anything wrong. The trooper did nothing wrong. But it gets your emotion. But if you look at the facts, it exonerates me. Completely exonerates me. But they don't want you to look at the facts. They want you to get you emotional and lie about stuff, which is what they did to me. They lied about stuff. They committed perjury. They lied under oath about stuff. Now, it's one thing to be talking to people and saying stuff maybe you shouldn't say and maybe you don't even mean. And it's another thing to go into court and raise your hand. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And then lie. That's a criminal act. That's a criminal act. You're trying to change the outcome of litigation. You're trying to facilitate an emotional instead of a legal outcome. And the judges in Tennessee let government people lie. They're not constitutional courts. They're courts that are set up and designed to protect the government. Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. You won't hear that anywhere else. You want to hear other news channels, they'll praise the courts. Oh, the court adjudicated. The court adjudicates lies every day, all day long sometimes. They don't tell the truth about stuff. I know they don't. I've seen it with my own eyes. They can't report on a loudspeaker like Jim Jones. The courts are straight. The courts are good. Enough times to make me believe that. I've seen it. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. I don't care how many times they tell you to do that. I don't care how many test things they do. Jim Jones used to set up test examples where he's telling them to drink the Kool-Aid. And then when he literally had them do that, he done knew they'd do it because he had practice sessions. Don't listen to their continued bombardment of their lies to convince you that they're true. If you know something's false, it's false. Believe yourself. Have confidence in yourself. We will never have freedom by ignorance. I didn't say that. One of the founding fathers did. So here's what they tried to do to me. Emotion. Leave the facts out. Emotion. I'm telling you the facts. I'm telling you to be mad as hell about them. Of course a trooper's going to be in and around fatal drunk driving wrecks when it's his job to confront them and try to protect them. Some of them run, get away, you can't protect them. You try to get all you can and protect them. I did that better than anybody. I protected more people than any trooper in the state. Unfortunately, because of the way people drove, because of the lawlessness of some people, because of the drunkenness of some people, and because of a party that he was at that I had nothing to do with, that they should have investigated, that they didn't. They tried to get emotion. Somebody died, he did something wrong. No, that's not true. That's a lie. That's what Larry Russell did, the one with the sign. So here's what they tried to do to me. They literally said, here's what they said about me, trying to lie about me, which is not true. They said that the phrase, "what a farce of justice," reflects the outrage surrounding the death of Gordon Kyle Anito and the subsequent lack of criminal charges against Tennessee Highway Patrol Trooper Charles Van Morgan. While the THP fired Morgan for his actions, many, including Antonio's family, were left feeling that the justice system had failed not to prosecute the officer. Prosecute me for what? The key events that led to this perception of justice. So prosecute me for what? Prosecute me for what? There was no crime committed. In the aftermath, Anito's parents filed a federal wrongful death lawsuit against Morgan and the THP, and his father began to speaking at schools to teach students about making responsible decisions. The actions, along with the details of the case, highlight issues of law enforcement accountability and contribute to the public sentiment that the system had been unjust. Okay, yeah. So they want to see their emotion, yeah. Want to prosecute me for doing my job, for trying to arrest a drunk driver? Good luck with that. The reason why they didn't charge me with criminal charges because I didn't commit any criminal acts, I didn't commit any civil acts, because I did zero wrong. Now they're telling you that I did wrong. That's the government. That's Lowell Russell, who's now legislature, saying I did something wrong. He even got his dad fired up, telling his dad that night that I did something wrong, going on a motion because I filed a complaint against Larry Russell. So he didn't mention that, a legitimate complaint, because Larry Russell is dangerous to himself and you. Now they said they filed a federal lawsuit. That federal lawsuit was dismissed in my favor by the judge. The parents didn't dismiss it. They was wanting money. And I've told my children to accept responsibility for what they did. If one of them gets killed running from law enforcement, I would not jump on the officer. I would say they shouldn't have ran from the law enforcement officer. I did nothing wrong. So see how they're trying to flip it around here? The law enforcement officer that's doing his job, and they're trying to emotion. Somebody died. He died of his own doing. His parents ought to be ashamed of themselves. Going around to schools, did they not go to their son and say, "Don't run from police"? I mean, why didn't they do that to him? Trying to call evil good and good evil. I didn't do anything evil, and God will protect me from that. I did what was right that night. Had to see some horrible things like you would in a war due to their son's actions. Ought to be ashamed. Going and speaking, your son was in a drunk driving wreck and he killed himself. He's not a hero. You're not a hero, parents. What you did to my family was dirty. So you spread your lies, I'll spread the truth. I hate that your son died. I wished he hadn't put me through that. He should have stopped. I would have put him in jail. That's his fault. He did his dirty himself, and he got what he asked for. And I did none of that. If he did what I wanted, he would have stopped. I mean, that's completely ridiculous, ludicrous. Charge me with a crime for doing my job? Yeah. And then every drunk driver, every cop on the road will know that if you do that, then you'll get put in jail. And that's what they're trying to do to this society. That's what Lowell Russell's trying to do. So their lawsuit was dismissed. Lowell Russell went along with it. He shouldn't be a state representative. So Mr. Garza here in Knoxville filed a frivolous lawsuit against me, saying that I went and hid after I passed that wreck because I didn't see it. I told the truth. Garza lied. Garza's a liar. You can tell him I said that. Tell him, come on, meet me. I sure don't appreciate what he did to my little children. I'm kind of angry about that, Garza. I'd say, that you probably should stay away from me. It's what you ought to do. I'm not going to hunt you down. You already lied in court papers. You ought to be disciplined for that. So he's a big hero around here, got a bunch of money. He lied in his court papers. He lied. He committed ethical violations. He lost his lawsuit. Garza, when this was going on, he was sitting up here getting a lot of publicity at the prosecutor's office, sitting behind the desk. TV's on him. Yeah, I love the high life. I love it. And I'm getting a lot of publicity off of troopers out on the road risking his life off his demise. They don't care. They're sick. Attorneys are sick people. And then he's getting in the news and talking about the trooper did bad, and I can't say anything because I'm still trying to get my job back. I can say something now. Garza correct the record, but he won't correct it. If he won't, he's not an honest lawyer. So when they lost their lawsuit in federal court, all I seen on television was the man's father come out. Garza wasn't nowhere around after they lost the lawsuit. He was gone. The man's father had to speak for himself. His attorney was gone because they lost the lawsuit. Wow. So he'll be there on the front end. Yeah, wants all that attention. And then when you lose, he lost his lawsuit. It was dismissed in my favor because I didn't do anything wrong. So, and then he won't be nowhere to be found. I didn't make a bad choice. Made no bad choices. I did everything right. They made a bad choice. His son made a bad choice. Garza made a bad choice. So I personally wouldn't hire Garza. He might be able to win. He's got a lot of inside politics, I believe. Politics is a machine that determines who gets what, when, and how. Power fuels the machine. Power's ability to control others, even against their will, or even against what's right. Having more power than others gives you the ability to get more, use things sooner. Having less power than others means you get to fewer value things like political society. Key task is figuring out how power drives types of political machines. So they know that being in power gives them to get more things for themselves. That's what they know. That's why they buy power. That's why they lie to you and manipulate things. So they lied about that. Used emotion. I did nothing wrong. I did everything right. They did wrong. The government did wrong. And they even investigated and put me back to work. This is who did something wrong right here. Wrinkled drunk, Captain Heatherly. Look at that. They teach you in the academy your uniforms. Not a lot of the battle. Look at those wrinkled pants. Wrinkled drunk, Captain Heatherly. It's not defamation if it's true. It's not defamation if it's true. That's a captain, the symbol of a highway patrolman. Who does she know that's funding her all the way up to major? Wow. I didn't lose my job until she took over my shift. My supervisor knew what happened, watched the video, and gave me all 5s on my evaluation, high scores you can get. And praised me after that pursuit. My supervisor, Sergeant Ronald McDonald, gave me all 5s. He went on sick leave and this woman took over. This deceitful woman took over. Deceitful, that's not defamation, it's true. I'll show you some of her deceit. Facts, not emotion, facts. It ought to get you emotional that the governor over the Highway Patrol, now listen, I'm going to tell you some astonishing stuff. I'm liable for defamation if it's not true, but it's true. The governor over the Tennessee Highway Patrol. It's the Tennessee Highway Patrol's, the governor's Tennessee Highway Patrol. He knew that captain at the time, Stacey Heatherly, was stealing valor, because I told him, report it to her. She's saying she served in the military, never served one day. I sent it to Internal Affairs, gave him the leaflet where she's saying I was a 20 years in the 11th Army National Guard. That's what she says. She never served a day. I told him that, sent him the flyer. After I reported that to him, and also they've been reported that she's on duty, on comp time, not fit for duty, not cleared by a doctor. You can look that yourself. She was, and she's the one that got me fired. This is how corrupt and much of a liar she is. I'm honest. Didn't see that car off the side of the road. Anybody would believe that. She put out a narrative, released a video to the news. She puts out a narrative that she's retired from the military, never been retired. She was on workers' comp time. And when you're on workers' comp time under the Department of Safety rules, you're not supposed to be in uniform, not supposed to drive a car. You're supposed to apply for special duty. She was in uniform in a car on February 7th on workers' comp. Check the record. She went back to work. Was cleared by a doctor in February. The governor knew that. These people in government power do whatever they want to do. That ought to make you mad. And then they blame their misconduct on you. So here's a flyer. We're going to put this up at the courthouse again. Never served it. Here's Stacey Heatherly. Here's Stacey Heatherly. Never served a day after Governor Lee notified, promoted her to THP Major. And I don't have Lee capitalized because he don't deserve capitalization. Here's the flyer. Spotlight speaker. Read about our amazing speaker, Captain Stacey Heatherly, sound of the glass, on duty dealing with trauma. So she's returning to work, but she's already at work before she's supposed to return to work. She says right here, Captain Heatherly is also a 20-year military veteran, retired from the 278th 11th Tennessee Army National Guard. Never served a day. Got the Highway Patrol's emblem. The governor knew that. I sent him this right here. Sent him that myself. And look at that. What a lie. That's facts. That ought to get you mad. Somebody's saying that they were in the military, never served a day in the military. She's the one that got me fired. Lied on me. Lied on me. Got the Nitos all fired up that I did something wrong. When they did something wrong. They did something wrong. That's what I reported them doing something wrong. That's why they did that to me. I reported her age discrimination. I reported that they're taking older troopers from training troopers so they won't have wrecks run into each other like happened in Maryville, and complained about that for your safety. They don't need to get rid of older troopers. Older troopers won't have wrecks, won't run into each other. She don't care. She was over there at UT recruiting young college students, and then they don't train them where they go out and wreck each other. I wonder if the vice president will come back to Tennessee after that happened. He's not protected here. You don't have law enforcement protecting him. Those officers aren't the problem. Those officers aren't the problem. They shouldn't have been put in that position. That is the problem. The news media won't say, look here, look at the major over that wreck. She's going to investigate that wreck. She is going to come out there, I'm a military veteran, and she's going to tell you the truth about the wreck. She's not telling you the truth. She's not a military veteran, never served one day, but THP is a lead agency investigating that wreck for the world, put out to the world, put out to the United States. All over the United States are going to be interested in what happened in that wreck in Maryville with THP and a Maryville officer. A Maryville officer seriously injured. May God help him, I pray. The THP officer, may God help him, I pray. She is investigating that. THP is the lead investigator. The news won't say, look here. They're telling you, look, J.D. Vance was at a fundraising event. That's not the story. That doesn't matter. Look here why the wreck happened in the first place. This major right here that's deceptive is major over this area. She's going to be the one that puts out what happened in that wreck. Will she put out the truth? She put out she's in the military, and she wasn't. So if you think that ignorance, well, she's a major, she's telling the truth. You know, if you think ignorance and freedom go together, here's the truth. You're not going to get a fair report by the THP probably. Now, God works in mysterious ways, though. I'm just telling you. God works in mysterious ways. And keep this in mind when you start doing dirty things, thinking that, well, she made all that a major line. I need to start lying. Well, I wouldn't run over people. They can take all their high-level positions all they want to. I'm not going to mistreat people. Never have, never will. Never did, not going to. So, it was Lionel Russell, her girlfriend, is what she says. That's what she said. That ain't what I'm saying. Stacey Heatherly said that Lowell Russell, who's a legislator now, he's like a girlfriend to her, her best girlfriend. So after Lionel Russell went to Mr. Nito and lied to him, said that I did something wrong in that pursuit before an investigation or anything, I already fired him up a motion. Get a motion going. That's how they win elections. A motion. After he fired him up about that, they got me fired. 30 days. They got me fired on January the 30th, 2012. He got me fired, took me off the job. I was appealing it. And they put a ruling against me, but it's a ruling that's false. The judges were wrong. That's the truth. They want me to take it. I'm not taking it. That's not true. That's a lie. It's a dirty lie. They know it's a lie. I can prove it's a lie. But God works in mysterious ways. 43 days after Lowell Russell got me fired, March 13th, 2012. Look what happened to him. 43 days. Look at that. Lowell Russell was right there. So 43 days after he did me dirty, God works in mysterious ways. He got hit by a truck out on the road. 43 days, Lowell Russell right in there. Yeah. And he's a hero because he got hit by another car. He's supposed to be emergency driver. He said I wasn't paying attention. Nothing happened. You see any scratches on me? He wasn't paying attention. Let a truck hit him. You sit on the side of the interstate. I did it all the time. I was an older, experienced trooper that he got rid of. That went in, didn't carry protection, never ran into anybody. Didn't run into anybody in that pursuit I was in. I wasn't in danger to anybody. I didn't endanger anybody, didn't hit anybody, had my siren on, everybody was warned, nobody got hurt except for unfortunately I couldn't protect the man that killed himself drunk. 43 days later, bam! God works in mysterious ways. He puts it out as a divine intervention. You know, I think God took care of business, you know. You do wrong, 43 days later, bam! And, you know, sometimes people think, well, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since that happened. And Stacey Heatherly moved all the way up to captain. And look at his brother. His brother got promoted. Nepotism. His brother don't have a Master of Arts in Criminology. His brother don't lead the state in drunk driving arrest. His brother didn't bust a credit card fraud ring that saved Tennesseans and Georgians thousands and thousands of dollars. His brother didn't get monthly letters every month thanking him for his job performance. His brother didn't get a lot of stuff. His brother had a brother that was in the highway patrol that bought sergeant stripes that got injured because he wasn't paying attention. So the nepotism, look at the nepotism. Look at the nepotism in the highway patrol. They're not effective law enforcement. So people say, well, it's been a long time since Mather Headley made it all the way to major, but look at this. 12 years and 1 month after Heatherly helped get me fired using her friend, and I made a complaint against her for age discrimination. She discriminated against me for my age. 12 years later and 1 month, 12 years and 1 month, God works in mysterious ways. Look at this, look at this. 12 years and 1 month later, she got me fired January 3rd, 2012. My supervisor cleared me, gave me all five. She took over my shift March 13th, 2024. Look what the hell happened to her. Look what the hell happened. God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? Look what the hell happened to her. Yeah. Took a while. That's a wreck she was in. She took the leading trooper off the road that made drunk driving arrests. A drunk driver hit her. They make it dangerous for themselves and others. 12 years. 1 month later, she took me off the road. She gets clobbered by a drunk driver. Drunk driver hit her. She made it dangerous for herself and you, just like they did in Maryville. The administration makes it dangerous for themselves and others. That's her right there in that car wreck. She was there in that car 12 years and 1 month later. God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? And let me tell you something. There's other cars out there. Ain't nothing says you can't get hit again. You better correct your ways and quit firing older troopers and quit rigging the system in your favor. Now, I'm not the only one complaining about her lies. She goes around the chain of command, does stuff that ain't supposed to be done, and they promote her. Who does she know? Somebody in here knows. Who does she know that gets her this level of incompetence to all the way to major? And this level of lying. She's a liar. She's a liar. She's deceitful. And she's over the rec report for the world to see. Hey, United States of America, the person that's going to approve the rec report that happened in Maryville, the major that's going to prove that's over Maryville, that's over that area, the highest ranking officer over that area is a liar. A liar, a document. That's not defamation. She's lying about military service. So America, you have a major that's going to approve a wreck involving a national figure that lies, that's still in valor. Wow, how embarrassing for Tennessee. That got me fired. That created an environment that made it dangerous for her even. 12 years later, she got hit by a drunk driver. Had I been still on the road, the fatality rate was going down. As soon as she got me fired, straight up. She's out there in that environment that she created. Wow. They're dangerous to themselves and each other. Look at this right here. This is Captain Brooks. Now he's an older man. He's an older trooper. It was only after the shooting that Brooks notified Sanders, his boss, about the farmer complaint. Brooks later defended his failure to notify Sanders or Internal Affairs, saying he believed Major Sanders already knew. Brooks suspected Lieutenant Heatherly told his boss behind his back. Captain Brooks told Major Sanders he did not like Lieutenant Heatherly jumping the chain of command, Carter wrote in an investigative report. So she's jumping the chain of command, then she jumped the chain of command with me. She was investigating that wreck with me, trying to release the tape to the media before she was ever even on my shift, before my sergeant even went on vacation. So, and that's the major that's supposed to release a report that's of national significance. The Tennessee Highway Patrol that slammed into somebody or somebody slammed into them not knowing what they're doing. Wow, that's kind of important. The whole world is looking at Tennessee and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. They're the lead investigating agency in that wreck. Look here, that's the story. The liars in Tennessee over the Highway Patrol, the governor's liars are over what's going to be released to the world, and they'll lie about it. They've already put out that it was mechanical error, probably could have been. It wasn't mechanical error. Mechanical error saying we're not at fault, they're not at fault, nobody's at fault, everybody go on your merry way. Somebody did something wrong. I know I have a lot of traffic crash investigation training and experience, and one of the main things they do is put people out on the road that are too young, that don't know what the hell they're doing without proper training from somebody like me. They even took me off the FTO program and gave it to people that had almost no service, didn't know what they're doing, some of them never been in a high-speed pursuit, and trained them how to teach other people how to be in a high-speed pursuit. That's the problem with THP, lack of training. Some of these people investigating these wrecks, and even this wreck, don't have a birth certificate in the United States. Now, is there something more nefarious going on? I don't know, but I know some troopers don't have a birth certificate in the United States. They wasn't even born here. What kind of lie are they going to put out? I don't know. Just telling you. So this is how they manipulate elections. It's how they manipulate elections. So THP Sergeant Lowell Russell Highway. I had to pay for my campaign, you paid for Lowell Russell's. Russell in a tax-paid street sign, hailing him a hero when he's a thug, white-collar criminal, paid for, authorized by Charles Van Morgan. You can see me on youtube.com. I'm going to put this up at the courthouse. I paid for that yard sign. You paid for that yard sign. Hail him a hero. He's a liar and a danger to himself and others. That's what he is. So he's got a yard sign 24/7 up. Me and you paid for it. It's hard to beat somebody that's got our tax money paying for their campaign and saying, hey, look, I'm a hero. He's not a hero. He's not a hero. He should have protected himself. And then they put me in jail. They put me in jail for telling people this. Put me in jail for this. Do you believe a special prosecutor's office should be set up to investigate wrongdoing by Tennessee judges and public officials? Do you think a special prosecutor's office ought to be set up to look at the former colonel, Tracy Trotz, to the bathroom because he killed somebody in a pursuit? He admits to somebody being killed in a pursuit, and there's no statute of limitations on murder. So was it an accident? It was adjudicated by them it was an accident, but was it really an accident? Because we know they lie. So 82% of people think that we should have a special investigative unit set up to investigate wrongdoing by public officials. Only 17%, that's their voting block. These people need to vote. Said that we don't need one. So I was out campaigning for a special prosecutor's office to investigate the government. Outside of politics, special prosecutor's office to look at government officials like Tracy Trott. He admitted in depositions that he's been in shootings and that he's been in pursuits, deadly pursuits, and he's been in incidents where people have died. So there's not, if he's killed somebody, then there's no statute of limitations on that, Trots. He's admitted to that. We need to investigate that. Because obviously they forwarded to the colonel. The Highway Patrol says that that's okay, that he didn't do nothing wrong. The Highway Patrol also says that I did something wrong when I know I didn't. I was there. Another witness said I didn't do anything wrong. They was there, said the same thing I seen. We know a judge lied in Tennessee. A judge lied. A judge added evidence. So we know the THP lies. We know the THPP is what I like to refer to them as, because they say some slang things about me, I can hurl it right back. So if THP lies, we know that a major of the Highway Patrol says they were in the military, retired from the military, never served a day. So we know they're not honest people. We know they're not honest. And the dishonest people in the Highway Patrol said that Colonel Trotz did right in deadly pursuits. So maybe he didn't do right. Maybe he's killed somebody. We need to have a special investigation unit to investigate stuff like that. There's no statute of limitations on murder, Trotz. If I ever get in power, you better hope I don't. You better try real hard to keep running me down with your lies, because I'm telling you facts. He may have murdered somebody. We need to find out about it. We need to let that emotion go. We'll investigate Mr. Trotz. Flip the script. Start looking at him, because I know I didn't do anything wrong. I was there. I know what I did. It was honorable what I did. It's so disgusting what he did, and if he's that disgusting to hang out a trooper that's out risking his life, I know he's disgusting enough to probably take somebody's life unjustified. We need to look into that, see if that happened. He admitted under oath he did that. I'm just saying. 12 years later, the major already had a wreck. And I was also out, this is why they arrested me for. I was out saying we need a special prosecutor's office to investigate these people in government power. They want to put me in jail and act like, try to discredit me, because I'm out saying, let's investigate them if we get in power. Let's investigate them. They don't want to hear that. They'll put you in jail. Silence dissent. I was also passing out this book when they arrested me. The book's still probably laying on the ground after they hauled me off to jail for passing out religious material. I was passing this out. Where are the missing people? The saddened disappearance of millions and what happens next. Best-selling author Jimmy Evans, with Julie Evans. This book was about a Christian book after the rapture that I believe will take place. People are going to be wondering where everybody went to. If the rapture happens now, they'll be wondering where I went to. Hopefully, I'm not perfect. I'm forgiven, but I was giving out political messages. Vote for me. We'll have a special prosecutor's office against people in government power, which I'm supposed to be able to say under the First Amendment Constitution, but we don't have a constitutional government. We got a facade of a constitutional government. We're losing our republic. And I was handing out religious material. Under the Constitution, the most protected form of speech, the First Amendment right. There's protected speech under the First Amendment, and then there's unprotected speech. There's speech that's more protected and speech that's still protected but less protected. Fighting words, where you have the ability and a means to do it immediately, are not protected speech. I didn't threaten or do anything to anybody. The most protected speech in our Constitution, that our constitutional forefathers protected it so that we can criticize the government, and you don't have to believe it, but they gave us the right to say it so that people can hear it, so they can make up their mind. Because if it don't get out, then people don't get to hear that side of it, and they may vote for people that they don't need to vote for. They don't get to hear the other side. So they put me in jail for telling the other side. What kind of republic is that? It's a republic run by billionaires. So the most protected form of speech is political speech. It is speech aimed at criticizing people in the government. That's protected. You can do that. On any public sidewalk, at any poles outside the 20-foot area, you're supposed to be able to do that. The second most protected form of speech, I got a JD, Doctor of Jurisprudence, I know the law, I know my rights, is religious speech, handing out religious material. There are some religious cases that are protected where the Jehovah's Witness knocked on people's doors and went in a city that was privately owned but functioned as a city, and they were issued citations and denied from going in that city and knocking on doors. And the United States Supreme Court said that that city functioned like a government, so it was the government. So the government was telling the Jehovah's Witnesses that they couldn't speak, and the Supreme Court ruled between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. that they had the right to walk up to a door, knock on the door, and offer religious material. That was our constitutional First Amendment right, and that the government interfered with that. So they violated Jehovah's Witness constitutional right, a fundamental right. And that's secondary to political speech. So political speech, you have a right between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., if it's not marked no trespassing, and if it's not objected to go up to a door and leave political material, which is even more protected than religious speech. Political, being able to criticize the government or run for public office, to hand out political material, which includes political material that they don't agree with. You know, the government wouldn't stop you from passing out material that says that Governor Lee is great. The protection is speech that they don't like. It protects speech they like, sure, but the fight is speech they don't like. We got a right to pass out speech they don't like too, and they won't let us do that. And that's what they arrested him for, passing out stuff that said, I would like to get a special prosecutor's office to look in some of these incidences. They didn't like that. They don't want to be prosecuted. And passing out this book, which is Where Have All the Missing People, which is a book telling people after the rapture where the Christians went. They got raptured, and offering them the opportunity to become Christians. Religious material. So I was passing out both, and they arrested me behind the polls, and I didn't do a lot of stuff. They said I did a lot of stuff. I did none of that. If I did, where's the video about that? So I'm telling you, the government is crooked as hell. Now, they get money for prosecutions. If they arrest you and a judge adjudicates them guilty, the judge gets money into his retirement account. The sheriff gets $17 for every guilty, because the fines and court costs. Now, they don't want me telling people that. County probation, $12.50. Sheriff gets $17, code of ordinances. Clerk's fee, $40. County judge's retirement, $6. Total cost, $140. So if you go in their court and a judge adjudicates you not guilty, he doesn't get any money. He doesn't get any money. The sheriff don't get any money. So it's in the government's interest to find you guilty. And that's what they do. They find you guilty. So help us get this message out. This was in the newspaper. We put this in the newspaper. And we're broadcasting live. Friends calling friends. Beat spot elections. We're broadcasting live, getting this message out. And the best resource we have is the public, it's you. And if you want to contribute, that'll help us get other people involved. So Friends Calling Friends, tell them about this channel. Vote. Voters of Tennessee Enraged, Voters of Truth Enraged. So here's what happened at the voting polls. Voting booths, voters had to stop and talk to election personnel. They were Hamilton County election officials because they had an election shirt on. They stopped in front of them, had a brief conversation, and then they would turn around, look at me, one flip me a bird. I think they were, as in phone interview, saying to fear me. Branson versus 504 U.S. 1992 upheld a Tennessee law that provided for a 100-foot campaign free zone. So these election officials were alleging that I was violating people's right to vote. I was outside the 20-foot line. I was asking people to vote for me peacefully. I didn't threaten anybody, didn't block anybody. they were violating the 20-foot rule because these were the government. They were inside the polls campaigning against me, telling me I was a bad person to be afraid of me. So they're inside the 20-foot. This is the government. This is what they did in an election against me. Chattanooga election officials were inside the polls, inside the 20-foot area, campaigning against me. The government was inside that area campaigning against me, that I wasn't allowed to be in, that I didn't go in. And then called the police and had me arrested on false charges. Now that's what happened. So the government was violating the 20-foot rule, campaigning against me. I've seen them doing it. I've seen them talking to people inside the voting booth, inside the 20-foot area, and then one of them turned around and flipped the bird at me. I don't think they were saying anything good about me, but they did that. And one of them, they called the police on me and said that I was putting people in fear. They were telling people to be in fear of me. They were lying to people, campaigning against me. The government was campaigning against me. The government campaigns for their picks, and then the government goes against people like me. I didn't do anything violent or dangerous whatsoever at all. That's what they do in Tennessee. So we're talking about elections and how they rig them. Code of ordinances. They put people in jail that say, vote these people out, vote for me. They put them in jail. They lock them up. They do it in Russia. They do it in America. We have a republic if we can keep it. If you think you can be ignorant and keep a republic, you can't do it. I'm trying to keep you from I'm educating you a little bit. So listen to me. So the Code of Ordinances, County Probation 1250. When judges render a verdict of not guilty, they do not receive any payment towards their retirement. In fact, they face charges and are inclined to declare individuals as guilty without the involvement of a jury in most cases. This is due to Section 18.2 of the law, which mandates this assessment of a bill of cost on all county ordinances. Violations as part of these costs, a sum of $6 is allowed for the retirement of county judges. The total cost for such violations amount is $104.75. It is evident that this is biased, and the sheriff gets $17. I've literally seen a sheriff tell a witness what to say, a sheriff's deputy, tell a witness what to say when they were under oath to get somebody in jail, to have somebody convicted. I've seen them do it. I know they do it. I've seen them with my own two eyes. I don't have to tell the government, tell me that they have constitutional courts when I know they don't. They don't. They have rulings to get themselves money in their retirement, to convict people illegitimately, and to rule in favor of the governor. That's what the courts are set up for their money from you and to rule in favor of the governor. Nowhere else we hear that. Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News, that's the truth. That's the proof. I know what they did to me. I've seen it. So here is what happens when the government lies to you. Now here's one of my uncles, my dead brother's brother. My dad died before I was 2 years old. His brother, that should at minimum leave his dead brother's son alone. I mean, he had to grow up without a father. I mean, have a little mercy, a little concern. Now, he held me down one time when I was about 8 years old, refused to let me up, thought it was funny, me begging him to let him up. I had to run away from his house and go to my other uncle's house because he was abused me as a child. And he lives in Monroe County, and he's a supporter of Lionel Russell. I mean, this is the type of character people that get it. Now, you know, and I'll just tell you the truth. He's not a good man. He's not a good man. I mean, you're going to run down me, and you think I'm just I learned how to fight myself. I didn't have a lot of help, and I'm not afraid of you, and I'll just call it out what it is. God judges me, Mr. Christian. He's a pastor of a church, my uncle, and he votes and protects Lionel Russell. He's a voter for him. So I'll just tell you what his voters do for him. You know, you don't want to go along with the truth? I'll tell the truth about you. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of him. He thinks everybody's afraid of him. So let's tell the truth about Bobby Morgan, my dad's brother. Runs down his dead brother to his only fatherless son and supports a corrupt political candidate who lied in court documents, causing Tennesseans to get killed. Christian pastor Bobby Morgan. Now there he is. What a liar. What a liar he is. And he abused me as a child, you know. I mean, I'm just saying that's Lowell Russell supporters. So Lowell, go by his house. He got a fan in him. He hates his dead brother's son that was raised without a dad, and because he thinks I'm a coward. But I learned something growing up without a dad. I learned to fight bullies, and I learned to fight liars, and I learned to fight people that mistreat me. So, you know, and he tries to smear his dead brother. He talks bad about his dead brother. He says bad stuff about his dead brother. I mean, wow, his dead brother's not here to defend himself. I'm here to defend my dad. I loved my dad. My dad was a good man. My dad was honorably discharged when he died from the Army National Guard. He wasn't like Heatherly. He was in the Army National Guard. So, you know, I'm just saying, pick on me, you're gonna get it back. Tell the truth. Here's THP's finest. THP's finest. And nepotism displayed again. Wife, husband, drinking buddy. Yeah, there they are. And drinking buddies. I wonder if he's got promoted yet since he was their buddy. So, you know, what a bunch of crooks. So if you think I'm running down the governor in Tennessee, and you're a Republican, and Republicans have some good ideals, I do too. And Mr. Trump even ran down Governor Lee. He called him a rhino. Here's his tweet that he put out. I went 10 out of 10. I went 10 for 10 endorsements tonight in the great state of Tennessee, including Bobby Harshberger running against a strong long-term incumbent, supported by Rhino Governor Bill Lee. Rhino, Republican in name only. So Donald Trump called Governor Bill Lee a rhino. A great day for Tennessee. Now on to a complete and total victory in November, MAGA 2024. So even Trump don't like Governor Bill Lee. I mean, is he really a Republican? He supports Bill Haslam, who ran Trump down before he got elected. So we're getting some truth out to try to keep people from being ignorant. And I just want to show you that we have gotten, as of today, as of probably right now, we got 1.2 million people that have watched in a period of about a month. So we're getting the message out. We're educating people. We have got 1,100,000 views. That's Neyland Stadium filled up 11 times. Probably 12 by now. We reached that November the 12th, and we're about 1.2 right now. So we're getting our message out. And right now, as of today, we're 1,186,405 views. So we're almost at 2 million views. So we're getting our message out against the government, against people in power. Now they put me in jail. It didn't shut me down. It made me mad. And they dismissed the charges. And I was winning a federal lawsuit, but I didn't want to hang the officers out because anybody can get an officer on the road. It's not the officers on the road, it's at the top. And it's people like, here's Governor Bill Lee when he was a kid. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, right, at Auburn University, 1980. Auburn University, News 5. So there's Governor Bill Lee in a Confederate uniform. Excuse me. Yeah, in a Confederate uniform at Auburn University. So they lost the war. There's Charles Van Morgan, Time Warp Tuesday. That's me. I look back at UTPD through the years. Charles Van Morgan, historical photo serving the public. So when I was younger, I was serving the public. He was in a Confederate uniform. The Union won the war. So here's the difference between me and Bill Lee. I'm out Time Warp Tuesday, UTPD, serving the public, keeping people from getting drunk, pouring the beer out, where they don't get killed in a wreck. Historical photograph. Look it up. Here's Governor Bill Lee. He's in a Confederate uniform, praising the Confederate that promoted slavery. That's what he did, promoting slavery. So, they want to tell you he's the governor. He's a good man. He promoted Major Heatherly, that's going to put out a finding on the wreck that happened in Maryville with a trooper to the world that lies. He promoted a captain to major after he knew she was lying about military service. And that's me, a historic photograph honoring me for my service in the military. So that's how crooked these people are. That's how crooked he is. Supporting a Confederate army that was pro-slavery, that was fighting for slavery. That's what they do. That's who he is. So here's Marsha Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn, she's running for governor now. She's up here with Bill Lee. Here I am up on the stage again above you with the people I serve up here above you peasants. Here's Marsha Blackburn on the stage. She's up here on the stage with the people she serves. There's Governor Bill Lee. That's Marsha Blackburn. He don't have his Confederate hat on there. And she's up there with the people she serves. She serves them, not the peasants, not us down here. She don't serve us down here. She serves those people up there. That's who Marsha Blackburn serves. So she's running for governor. Now they've tried to do me in pretty dirty. But let me tell you something I read the other day. That's pretty powerful stuff here. That's pretty interesting. Let's read this right. Look at this right here. I want to read you this quote. Don't quit. And we're not quitting. We're not quitting. We need funding and need support. And the most important thing we can get is people supporting us and telling us, send the message out. Don't quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're traveling seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debt is high and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't quit. Life is queer with its twist and turn, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turns about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you will never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. Is when that things seem worse, that you must not quit. So let's not quit. Let's not quit. Let's keep going forward with Power to You, the People movement. And let's hang in there. Even though they don't pay for our yard signs like they do Larry Russell's, I pay for my campaign. You paid for Lionel Lowell Russell's in tax-paid street signs, hailing him a hero when he's a thug, white-collar criminal paid for, authorized by Charles Van Morgan. So you can email me at gmail.com. So let's not quit while they're paying for his yard signs. And our story does not end in defeat, but in victory. I believe that our story is going to end in victory. We're going to make a difference in Tennessee and national politics by pointing out the corruption of people in state government. So here's what Lowell Russell does. Here's what Lowell Russell does. It's not just from me, it's from social scientists that'll tell you that Milken's activities exemplified white-collar crime, defined by Edward Sutherland in 1940 as crimes committed by people of high social position in the course of their occupation. Sutherland and Casey, 1978. As Mill and Case suggests, white-collar crimes do not involve violence and rarely bring police with guns drawn to the scene. Rather, white-collar criminals use their powerful occupation office to illegally enrich themselves or others, often causing significant public harm in the process. For this reason, sociologists sometimes call white-collar offenses crimes in the suits, as opposed to crimes in the streets. So these are white-collar criminals, and they commit crimes in suits. So they did a study in 2006. They had a political people on both sides of the aisle, people Republican and people Democrat, and they showed a statement to the Democrat and the Republican about their candidate. That was what they said, and then they had a statement, that they showed where their actions contradicted their statement. So they had a person's favorite candidate in a lie, and they tried to did an MRI scan and tried to see how that would reconcile in the MRI with the person that supported that candidate, how their brain would react to a lie that the MRI showing that what they were saying, what the test was saying, they were wrong, how their brain would react. So the MRI showed that people went along with emotion and not their thinking part of their brain when they were presented with the opposition of what the candidate said. So they had a candidate, and they had them show what the candidate said, and then they showed actions, what they actually did, direct contrary to the statements they made. And then they hooked them up on the MRI because they just showed them, hey, what you're supporting this candidate, and he's lying. So they showed them that evidence, and they hooked them up to MRIs, and the MRIs showed that the emotional part of their brain lit up, not the thinking part of their brain, not the factual part, the part that would think. And they asked them, and they came up with reasons why their candidate was still right. So the hypothesis was that study, the MRI study where they scanned their brains, after they showed them a contradiction in their favorite candidate that they were for, and they hooked them up on the MRI, and the MRI showed that the emotional part of their brain lit up, and they explained how their candidate was still right, explained away the discrepancy, and the thinking part of their brain didn't light up. The same for both Democrat and Republican. Conversely, when they showed them the same statement by the other candidate that they were against, where they said something and then they showed them the truth of how they actually, that they lied about it, then the factual part of their brain lit up. So when they were against the candidate, their factual part of their brain lit up. They thought and they agreed that the candidate lied. But when their candidate was mentioned, the factual part of the brain didn't light up on the MRI. It was the emotional part of their brain that lit up. And then they explained away how their candidate was still right. So what happens is the government knows this, and they go on, they deceive you by using emotion. They don't worry about the facts. They just try to get you fired up on emotion, which is what they tried to do to me. So this study shows how our God-given emotions can be manipulated. And we'll use emotion to wake people up, but we're telling you the facts. THP lies. That ought to astonish you. That's emotional truth, altered evidence. Injustice ought to outrage and anger. They destroy people's career. But I'm still here. I'm still resilient. And I hope you can feel my authenticity. They play on your emotions. I reveal the truth. This is unbridled news, real unfiltered news. This is a statement I made when they took my job away from me. This is what I said. This is the truth. They've stuck a lie on me. They ought to correct it. They're not going to. And the truth is the truth. And if I get terminated over this, I know I was terminated wrongfully, and I should not have been. I was mistreated by the Highway Patrol. That's the truth. The truth is the truth. And if I get terminated over this, I know I was terminated wrongfully, that I should not have been. I was mistreated by the Highway Patrol. That's the damn truth of the matter. That's the truth. What they say is a lie. And when they get rid of older troopers, this is what happens. You have a trooper against another police officer. Obvious. Somebody did something wrong. Probably a younger trooper that's messed up. Now that's what they've done. So we're going to go down to the city-county building here. We may do it tomorrow and continue to pass out some flyers, put it on public buildings to get the message out. I'm Charles Van Morgan, power to you the people. Join voters of Tennessee enraged, or voters of truth enraged. So I have if you want to contact me, you can email charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com. Speaking engagements, business, churches, community groups. I'll be glad to come and speak to you, and I'll advertise it on this YouTube channel that's reached almost 2 million people. Live YouTube shout out, bridge signs, Chapman Highway, Moody, and on screen. I still have my taxi business running. If you're in Knoxville, contact me for a ride. If you want to sell your vehicle or car or something, let me know and I'll advertise it on here. I'm open for work, sales, representation, promotion, open for opportunities. So just let me know. And support the movement. Independent reporting, donation link. I'm Van Unbridled News. And power to you, the people movement. So we will show you some of the view before we leave you. No. Well, that's part of the being live. We dropped the phone. So yeah, we're all right though. dropped the phone. So we'll show you some of the view. Show you some of the view. So that's being live. We dropped the phone. We'll show you the view here on the bridge before we leave y'all. Thank y'all for coming today. Thank y'all for your attention. Here's my sign. So Unbridled News, Charles Van Morgan. We'll take you over here and show you some of the beautiful Knoxville from my office here on the bridge, on the sidewalk, covered by the Constitution. You can look at the beautiful view here, covered by the Constitution. Here's the road backed up a little bit. So we've had a great show, a great day, a lot of viewers. We'll show you the river. And there's Neyland Stadium. You see the lights up there at the top of Neyland Stadium. See, there's the football lights. And so yeah, we got a bunch of people on here. Here is the Tennessee River. So we got some joggers over there. And here's the Tennessee River and the Henley Street Bridge that we're on. That's the Gay Street Bridge over there. And we got a lot of people in here still. So thank y'all so very much. Like, share, subscribe if you want to. We'll probably be back on here tomorrow morning live to report the truth unbridled. And remember, the government goes on emotion. We'll tell you the facts and the truth. So, wow, almost 100 people still in here. So, remember, if you want advertising, we'll be glad to do that. We're in a very busy place in Knoxville. We'll hold your advertising sign out at a place where vehicles have only one other choice to cross the river. So we'll be at a place where they have to pass us in order to cross one of the two bridges. We'll also announce your company on a live shout out, and we've had almost 2 million people. And we'll also speak at churches or nightclubs, and we'll announce that we're going to speak there to get more people there, try to. If you want us to do that, we'll be glad to do that. And also we want to shout out to the corner market downtown or in the UT area that let us put a sign out. The bed store on Chapman Highway, and the lady that sells t-shirts. The next home game, she'll be probably at the old Kaz Walker store. Shout out to her. Those people let us put signs out. And thank y'all so very much. God loves you, and I do too. Until tomorrow morning.